Let me know whenever I'm up. Okay, cool. I was just making sure I wasn't up right now and didn't know. All good? All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy 4th of July. We've got some storms in the area. One storm just really went up over downtown. That's the second or third storm, in fact, we've seen within the metro area. A lot of lightning associated with that. I know a lot of plans are in place for everybody here on this 4th of July weekend. We want you to be safe. So right off the jump, I'm going to say, too, if you can hear thunder outside, you're within danger of that lightning, so we want you to head inside. Most of you probably are inside, but I know there's a lot of outdoor activities here today. Of course, the big parade downtown, all the festivals across the region here, too. So we're going to go over this in detail. I'm going to put up the text line here in just a little bit, and so if you've got some questions, I'm going to try to cover everybody in detail. Let's start off with downtown right now. We've got this heavier thunderstorm now. There's downtown moving in with a lot of lightning with it. Lightning tracker showing about 90 lightning strikes in the past 20 minutes or so out of this main cell. Of course, some gusty winds, maybe upwards of 20 to 30 miles per hour. This is not severe, not showing any hail with this up towards Granite City, Jennings. It's crossing over the river here. This generally will move eastbound, but again, a stronger storm here with some frequent lightning associated with it. These storms around the metro area have pulsed up to nearly severe limits, and then as soon as they've done that, they've fallen back down. So again, if you're east of downtown, especially in downtown right now, St. Louis, you've got that heavy rain moving in. So you'll want to seek shelter, just be inside. Again, this is not a severe thunderstorm at this point, but we could see some gusty winds, and of course the lightning is dangerous. Now let's head back out. We'll zoom over, and this is the main complex of showers and storms. We've seen some wind gusts upwards of about 50 miles per hour out of this, obviously still west of Jefferson City. There have been some indications that some of the very strong winds are just above the surface, not reaching the surface right now, but there's the potential that some of those strong winds can get all the way down. Go ahead, Hunter. Okay, well, I'm not in. I thought that okay, apparently you're just watching the weather update screen. Let me jump over. I'm not in the vMix. Okay, let me pull this up. She's got it pulled up out there. Can you go out there and check on that, please? Yeah. Thank you. Weather vMix? Oh, here we go. I got it now. All right, sorry about that, folks. All right, let's go back over to downtown. Let me show you that one. This is the main complex of storms with the severe weather potential with it. That should be up now. Yeah, that's up. Okay. That's got the biggest concern right now for severe weather-wise. But we've also got some thunderstorms in the metro, and we've got some thunderstorms scattered across the area, little pulse-like storms here today. It is hot. It is humid. There's a lot of storm energy out there. So we're likely to see additional storms develop and then pulse back down a little bit, just general pop-up storms. But a lot of lightning out of this storm. You can see it moving eastbound. There's downtown St. Louis, University City back off to the northwest. A lot of lightning with it. Expect wind gusts upwards of 25 to 30 miles per hour possible. Some very heavy rainfall. And then, of course, I keep mentioning, but the lightning is the most concerning aspect of this storm right here, moving towards Granite City. And I'm going to show you some camera views on that one in a moment, but I do want to go back over and address this one. This is the main line of thunderstorms that we're watching right now. It's got a lot of wind potential with it. That's really what prompted the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect, including downtown, really across the I-70 corridor and points south. And it is mainly for that main complex. And you can see there's a little bit of action out ahead of it. It's a little bit of a boundary west to east set up right along Highway 50 here that's helping these other storms develop. Check out the lightning counter on that. 320 lightning strikes in the past 20 minutes or so. So a lot of lightning associated with these storms. So if you've got plans to be outside, you want to have somewhere to head inside as these storms move through. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Phelps County right now. Looks like that's the only warning at this point for our viewing area. And that includes downtown Rolla. And it does have a little bit of a weakening trend with that lower section of storms here. If you back this up a little bit, this is what prompted that severe thunderstorm warning to include Phelps County and Rolla. Let's move this east a little bit. And what's happening here is that the wind out ahead of it is actually undercutting the main storm. So you can see that little green line right there? That's your outflow from that storm. So it's a little bit ahead of the heavy rain and frequent lightning potential. And so that might actually lead to a little bit of weakening phase. However, we could see additional storms develop along that little outflow. It's a little bit of cool air underneath that. So let's see, they might have just updated that severe thunderstorm warning. So maximum winds out of that potential there, out of that storm, potentially up to 70 miles per hour. So if you're in Phelps County, in Rolla, you've got probably about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes or so. I'll detail that out. These storms are moving to the east at 50 miles per hour. So now let's go over some timing, okay? I know that's probably what everybody wants to know. Downtown St. Louis, I went through a lot of analysis on this earlier. Downtown St. Louis looks like right around somewhere between 4 and 4:45, which is not ideal for the parade, so they're taking that into consideration there too. But that's with that main line right now. You've already got some strong storms over downtown with a lot of frequent lightning out of it. Let me go ahead and put up a tracker for you. I'm sure a lot of folks want to know exactly the arrival time for their locations. I'm going to go 55 here. My calculation had it moving east about 52 miles per hour, but I'm going to mark this to go slightly earlier than that. So let's go to downtown. It's got a little bit of a northerly component. We'll go with that. Now let's move this guy over so you can kind of see your areas a little bit easier. It should be, oh, it's on the wrong side. Let me move this over. My apologies. And in fact, I'll go ahead and take that full screen for you. Let's come back over to this guy. So those are your arrival times right now for this main line of storms. In fact, yeah, let me go and take that full screen for you. I'm going to step over here so that will give me that option. That's why I couldn't do it. There you go. Okay, so according to this, looks like Rolla around 3:23. So you've got, actually, you've got about an hour. So you got a little bit of a lone storm by you right now. Sullivan, 3:46. Warrenton, closer to 4 o'clock. Troy, 4:15 or so. O'Fallon, Missouri, right around 4:20. St. Louis, 4:38. In fact, if I look back on my calculations here, yeah, so I did some analysis on this earlier. 4:37 was the time that I came up with earlier on some of my data there. So again, that's unfortunate because that's about the time that the parade's set to start at 4 o'clock. So that will certainly be an issue there. Again, the strongest storms today capable of damaging wind gusts. No real tornado threat with this. Wouldn't be surprised maybe to see a brief spin-up tornado, but that's at most, and certainly nothing too widespread. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about 1 concerned on that. It's a very low-end threat for anybody from a tornado perspective, but you can still get damage from damaging wind gusts, especially if they actually reach the 70-mile-per-hour threshold that these warnings are currently in effect for. All right, so flash flood warning just was issued for downtown St. Louis thanks to this very heavy rainfall. Let's come back over to St. Louis. Let's clear this off. I want to show you the rain. You can obviously see it's very heavy out of this. And let's pull up the details on what the rainfall rates are. So that flash flood warning, okay, so already 1 to 3 inches of rain has fallen. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly, mainly for small creeks and streams, urban areas, highway streets. Obviously, the areas that flood quickest will be the ones out of this storm that actually have that brief window of flooding potential. But again, some very heavy rainfall. We'll zoom on down and kind of see that more easily moving into downtown. Let's go. Not much lightning in downtown right now, but I'm sure you can hear it outside. If you look to the north, up towards Granite City. That's where the majority of that lightning is, right along I-70. That one cell really popped up there. I will say that you can see a little bit of an outflow down to the south of it. That may help develop some additional thunderstorms in towards St. Clair County, over towards Arnold. Let's get you a camera view over there too. God, it's got a lot of lightning with it, 123 lightning strikes now. We looked at it about 5 minutes ago and it was counting 90, so a huge difference there. So again, if you have plans to be outside for this evening, you'll want to take into account that this weather can be pretty rough pretty quickly here. So you'll want to have somewhere to go inside, have a plan B option pretty quickly due to the risk of some potential hazardous weather as these storms move through. Let's go back over to this guy here. Let me pull this back up. Where is the... I'm working with one monitor here. The other monitor is not working for some reason. Let's come back over to Max 1. Connect. Okay. Oh, that's why. All right. Let's go to this. I'm going to try to find us some camera views of this storm downtown. I know we'll be able to. There'll be plenty of them. We got plenty of cameras around downtown. Here we go. Let's pull that one up. Yeah, that's a good view right now. This is going to be looking back towards the arch. I'm going to check on this one real fast here. Some of our team is out there in the field. Hey, Sonia. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I got you. Scott's already on the way in. Okay. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks, bye. A little bit of logistics adjustments here. Okay, so look at that. There's your heavy rainfall. That's downtown right now. The arch is back there. You obviously can't see that. So a lot of very heavy rainfall ongoing right now. Let's pull this back over. I want to show you the radar again, showing that very heavy rain in downtown now with some frequent lightning with that. The lightning tracker is a little bit delayed. It showed about 100 strikes in about a 20-minute time period just a few moments ago. There it goes, 129 still showing up back behind me. It's the counters right back behind me right now. So again, no tornado threat out of these storms today, but the damaging winds can be a concern. And I'll be honest with you, my biggest concern is the potential for lightning out of this activity. I mean, even, let's move back over towards Illinois. I know we've got a lot of folks over there. Pop-up showers and storms right now ongoing for a few locations. These will pop up and dissipate pretty quickly. The air mass is very hot, very humid, and that can lead to those quick firing of storms. We'll come up towards Fayette County. You got some of these storms over here as well, just east of I-55. All that activity will be pulse-type variety storms. Wow, look outside. Let's go back over here. Let's pull this back up. Check that out. I mean, it's strong winds, probably around 40 to 45 miles per hour maybe at this point, with some very heavy rainfall. I mean, your visibility is very low, obviously. I'm going to switch to another camera angle here. Let's get some other shots of this. Let's go to 100 above the park. This is going to be Forest Park, so it'll be a little bit of a distance away, but I'll be able to turn this camera and point towards downtown. So well, let's see here. That's 100 above the park, so we're actually looking back east towards downtown. Now let's go down to Arnold. Trying to find a view of the actual storm itself. You can see that a little bit easier. All right, this is south of downtown. I'm going to turn the camera here so we'll point this northbound. It's going to take a second for it to get initiated. But some very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning out of the strongest storms right now, and we could see some gusty winds too. So just flipping around. It's going to be out of view on that. Let's see if I can go all the way over. Let's come back to Chesterfield. Let's turn this one back towards downtown. And again, the main severe weather threat is really with that main complex that's coming in from the west, coming into our areas, not into our region quite yet, but that's the one that has the damaging wind potential. When these storms roll into your area, it looks like they'll be moving pretty quickly at a rate of about 45 to 55 miles per hour. So that would give you about 20 to 30 minutes worth of storm time with that. With the heaviest rain, frequent lightning, and gusty winds potential with these storms. We'll head on back down here. So Gasconade County, you've got some heavy storms right now. Frequent lightning, not severe. None of this activity is severe. One of the good things about this is that this may very well likely reset the atmosphere for that, so that could help weaken some of those storms a little bit. We'll see how they interact over the next hour or so. Again, the only severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect is going to be for Phelps County, and it's because of this cluster of storms and the wind potential out of that as it races eastbound. Again, the actual storm is moving at about 45 to 55 miles per hour, but the wind gusts are closer to, according to the data, closer to 65 or 70. So getting an update here from the National Weather Service, and they've got a few areas, especially north of downtown, over an inch and a half of rain, or near an inch and a half of rain over the past hour. So that results in flash flooding concerns. So that's why they've got that flash flood warning for downtown. It's nothing major, but we don't want you driving through any floodwaters. Does include, of course, St. Louis County and the city there too, right? So the good news is that these storms, we don't have any damage reported for many of these west of us. Of course, they moved over the course of about 2 hours. They moved in from just south of the Kansas City area. We'll put this in motion. You can see those racing eastbound, and they are somewhat organized. They're a little bit better organized than what we had seen on the forecast data. And back behind it, you can still see there's some lightning that happens in the stratiform rain. So that's light to moderate rain back behind this. So even after that main complex moves through, you can still have some lightning concerns from that. So let that get a good 30 minutes away from you. Once the heaviest rain moves through your area, you give it about 20 to 30 minutes and your lightning concerns should go down pretty quickly. And these are the severe thunderstorm warnings. These are little yellow polygons going as far east as Phelps County. Does include Rolla. Let's head back over into Illinois. You can see some of these pulse-type variety storms. They don't really hold together all that long. They kind of rain themselves out pretty quickly. But if you're in Illinois over towards Washington, Clinton's counties, Marion County, Fayette County, you're likely to be more dry than wet here this afternoon until that main complex moves in. We'll see how this does, if this continues to move eastbound, this next redevelopment here that occurred over the past hour in downtown. We'll see how that holds together, and that could bring some additional heavier rain, especially to St. Clair County. And you know, we mentioned earlier about that little outflow where that colder air is moving southbound. There's St. Louis, very heavy rain, frequent lightning, where this little outflow kind of popped that additional storm development southeast towards Cahokia Heights, moving into St. Clair County. And if you're just joining us, I went over the times for some of these storms here just a few moments ago, but I'm going to run back through that here in a second too. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. I got the wrong camera view on there. Let me go back. I'm going to update our camera view. Let me go ahead and time that back out again for anybody who missed it earlier. I'm going to put up a table here that's going to show the expected time of arrivals for this main complex. It's moving a little bit northeast instead of due east. I'm going to bring it to St. Louis. Again, they're moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour, or between 45 and 55 miles per hour. And you see these arrival times here. Rala, oh, I've got on the wrong side again. My apologies. Normally, I'm standing on the other side. Okay, here we go. Rala, right around 3:10. O'Fallon, Missouri, 4:07. Arnold, 4:21. Downtown St. Louis, 4:32. And again, earlier my analysis was 4:37, so right around there. So again, once this main line moves into your area, you're looking at about 15 minutes or so of the very heavy rain with frequent lightning, and then you're looking at about 20 minutes after that for some of the occasional lightning with the strongest storms. So you'll want to give these storms a good 40 minutes or so, or 45 minutes to get east of you before that lightning threat really decreases. But again, the main concern for severe weather potential would be with that main line as it moves through with wind gusts that could cause some damage there. Still to be determined on how this will affect the parade. Obviously, the arrival time on this is not ideal with the parade starting at 4 o'clock. So I know that we've been in contact with their folks there, and they've got a full understanding of what we're looking at and what we're expecting. I will say there's a little bit of some uncertainty as to how well these storms will maintain themselves, and that mainly has to do with this activity out ahead of that main line. So that should zap the atmosphere of some of its energy. So we'll see how they do. You would think that they would decrease somewhat in strength as they continue to move eastbound. Let me get you that camera view. And let's take a look at some of these storms again that have already fired. Let me get you a better camera shot than what I've got. We'll go back to, actually, let's go to Grafton. Let's look at the Grafton camera here and see what we can find. What about the Worldwide Technology Raceway? Let's check that one out. I'm just pulling up the camera views real quickly here. And you can see, too, there's a couple of storms that pop up out ahead of that main line, too. It's just how much energy is in the atmosphere right now. It's pretty active, so there can be quick fire-ups of storms, but the main concern for severe weather potential would be from that one line off to the west there. That is yet to make it into our DMA, but it's on into our viewing area. But it's on the doorstep. National Weather Service there in St. Louis is likely watching Gasconade County right now for that potential for a severe thunderstorm warning. That'd be the first up outside of Phelps County, which has already got one that they would be issuing in. And they're probably looking at exactly what we just talked about, is how are these storms going to manage. Oh, we got some pea-sized hail now being reported in downtown. Let's go back to that camera. We'll go back there. And we'll pull that one up real fast so you can see. That's not as bad as it was earlier from this point of view. This is looking from Energizer back towards downtown. Of course, we can also show the arch here too. Let's pull that one up. And happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope that you're having a good day today. I know this weather is not ideal. There's a look from looking back towards the arch. The arch is, you kind of see it faintly there if you look closely. Some gusty winds there. That's probably about a 15 to 20 mile per hour wind gust. Not anything overly concerning with that. Of course, the small hail. Let's see if we can find that hail on radar here. Not showing up on the data right now for the small hail potential. I keep going opposite. But heavy rain looks like that's going to move east of downtown over the next 10 minutes or so. This is a slow-moving storm compared to everything out west of us right now, which is moving very quickly. A few more storms over towards University City right now. Some occasional lightning with that, but not showing anything too severe over towards Brentwood, Webster Groves. This activity, which is over towards Clayton and all, that should pulse up and then pulse back down. Not expecting too much out of that one cell there. Up towards Maryland Heights, we've got one shower that's popped up. Not seeing any lightning associated with that. That's another one of these. What's happened is that if you look closely here, you can see that's obviously where the storm is. See this little line, this little ring that goes around it? What has happened is that the rain-cooled air has occurred in downtown. So the air is obviously cooler now, and then that's pushing out away. And then when that happens, it actually kicks up dust, insects. It's not actually rain that the radar is picking up right here. It's just picking up that outflow, but it's that cooler air, that leading edge of cooler air, and that can help spark additional storm development. So Arnold, back to Wildwood, Jefferson County, you might see some additional storms over the next 30 minutes as that continues to move away from that one cell that fired up. In fact, you can kind of see if you watch, look at Creve Coeur, you can see that cooler air moving away from the rain, from where it's been raining, and watch that one storm little pop up right there near Creve Coeur. All right, let's come back out. Again, if you're just joining us, this main line is the one that really sparked that severe thunderstorm watch, which is for our area. The only severe thunderstorm warning that's currently in effect is for Phelps County, and that is for wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible. But we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings just west of Gasconade County, stretching back to Jefferson City. In fact, we might be able to pull that one up too. See if I can get a camera over there in Jefferson City. I believe we've got some. Come back over here. Let's go to that, browse map. Neither one of their cameras are pointed in the direction where we're looking for. So that's not what we're looking for either. It's sunny down at the Botanical Garden right now. Kirkwood, you're dry right now too. You've got some storms around you, but you're dry at this point. I was going to pull up camera view. Don't have anything that's really all that notable at this point for that, so I'll just leave that one alone. Let's come back over to the radar view and give you another update here. If you're watching, tuning in right now, we've got strong storms that have fired off here this afternoon. A few severe storms off to the west. Again, this is the main concern for severe weather, but for the rest of us here, we're just watching pulse-type showers and storms. I would keep your plans intact, except for anybody that's going to be affected by that main line of storms as it moves eastbound. It looks like it's on the doorstep now to Gasconade County, although Gasconade County's had some other storms that popped up right ahead of that. And so you've had some frequent lightning and gusty winds, but the severe potential is with this main complex moving in from the west. Let's see if we've got any updates from the National Weather Service here. Yeah. Just some areas of ponding of water on the roads. We do have a couple of damage reports that have now started to come in terms of some tree damage scattered with that main complex out to the west. And that's actually in the Columbia Jefferson City market out to the west of us. They've got some trees down and branches down. So again, it's not in our area, but it does. That is from, the damage is from this complex of storms that is headed to our region, including St. Louis. And again, if you've got outdoor plans, you'll want to keep that in mind. Do not be on area lakes. If you can hear lightning and thunder, you want to be off of the water. I doubt we have anybody really watching from that perspective, but if you are and you can hear thunder, then get off the water. That's where the majority of lightning strike injuries and worse occur is not really from folks outside, except for on the water. That's the majority of them. There's plenty of other opportunities in there for that, but the people on the water seem to have more issues with that. So you want to be off the water, not under a tree or anything like that. You want to be in a structure if you can be, or in a vehicle. It's not a day where we're worried about tornadoes, but it is a day where we do have that potential for damaging wind gusts, and then the non-severe threat with frequent lightning. These storms have been very electric here today as they've pulsed up, including the one over downtown. We'll look up towards Fayette County real quickly here, Montgomery County that is, and some heavier rain that with some frequent lightning too. That cell is moving slowly off to the northeast. If you're tuning in from portions of Illinois, I've glanced over there, but you don't really have much weather going on for you. You've got a few scattered storms, a few scattered showers too. For the most part, just hot and humid. But realize that these storms will likely move into your region here this evening. Could affect fireworks shows. If you're headed up to O'Fallon in Missouri, they've got a big fireworks show here tonight. Now, we'll say this, is that once this main line moves through for our fireworks shows, from that perspective, there will be some clouds and some light rain for a little bit of time. I think for the most part, unless we have additional development, which I don't expect, once this main line moves through, then the threat of that impacting the fireworks shows goes down dramatically. So the fireworks shows here tonight, after sunset, of course, are in pretty good shape. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm worried about everything else ahead of that. Okay, they've got a new severe thunderstorm warning just came out. Does include as far east as Franklin County. Looks like so they decreased the wind potential with this main line to 60 miles per hour, but 60 miles per hour can still bring down tree limbs, weak trees, can still have damage issues, but that does include Washington, goes as far east. Well, it includes northern Crawford and Washington counties, Franklin County, and then Warren County as well. So let's zoom on in a little bit. We can get, and there's Gasconade. Gasconade County obviously is in that too. So it's with that main line segment of storms moving eastbound. Could see wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour with the strongest storms. Localized tree damage is possible. Nothing overly worrisome, but the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect to keep people advised of that damage potential from those wind gusts. And I'll say this too, I was looking over the actual wind measurements from what we've seen out of these storms west of us, and we've not seen too much in the way of damage. So that's good. And the actual wind measurements have been right around 50 to 60 miles per hour. I have not seen any wind gusts over that mark. Doesn't mean they haven't occurred, but it looks as if that upper echelon of severe weather is not necessarily happening with this, which is obviously a good thing there too. St. Charles area, you've got a couple of storms. Well, not St. Charles County, west of O'Fallon, southwest of O'Fallon. If you're out there for the Freedom and Heritage Festival, you've got some showers in your area. That activity is continuing to move east. We're getting an update there from the National Weather Service. Let's come back over to downtown. So that one thunderstorm we were looking at that was over towards Creve Coeur, that one is moving a little bit further to the east here. It's got some more lightning. In fact, it's right above us at this point. I can hear the thunder outside as well from that. So that storm's kind of going up, but that should pulse up and then pulse back down, not severe. But some heavy rain is a certainty with these storms too. I'm going to put the times up here in a second again, but realize whenever I do that, I'm just looking at the times for this. You've still got other storms that are developing out ahead of that, and obviously those will be impacting it at different times there too. Let's head southeast over towards Perry County. You've got some heavy storms in this area here too, with some frequent lightning and of course the heavy rain too. General pulse type thunderstorms where they go up and then they go back down pretty quickly. Nothing overly concerning there. Okay, so getting one report here of a wind estimate, visually speaking, of about 70 miles per hour. That was in Jeff City. So that is with this main complex here. But it does, because of that earlier activity ahead of it, that perhaps will mean that they won't be as strong, but still definitely severe potential with that. Let's go ahead and time this back out again for anybody who's just joining us. We'll take this all the way, we'll take this over towards Carlisle. So you can see here your times right now, 3:05 or so it's getting a little bit closer toward, well, Rolla's got a thunderstorm right now, general thunderstorm, but the wind potential is over the next 15 minutes or so. So there you go, Washington 3:30, O'Fallon 3:53, Arnold 4:12, St. Louis 4:21. Seem to be speeding up a little bit more. I might have put that a little bit too far north on its angle. We got the Chief just walking in here, so St. Louis 4:21, Troy at 4:40 there, and that's going to be Troy on the Illinois side. Highland at 4:52, Greenville at 5:09, so that's much further east into Bond County. And that's if it holds together that far too. What's up, Chief? How we doing?
Okay. Well, it's pouring outside.
It is pouring outside.
Depends on where you are. Location, location, location.
That's right. We got a live update there. It is pouring outside. Hope your day is going well. If you're just joining us here again, this is the main concern, this one line segment moving in from the west. We've got a few more storms. Of course, the second main concern is everybody planning to go to the parade there in downtown. Go ahead. Parade has been canceled. Yeah, that does not surprise me that much right now. Sorry to hear that for everybody who spent so much time putting in that effort. But I will say that for the fireworks here tonight, hopefully that does not affect that. The fireworks show still looks really good for us here tonight overall, because this complex, when it moves through, should wipe the atmosphere and hopefully will be storm free for us tonight. I can't guarantee it, but there's a pretty good chance that that will be the case. So something else that we'll watch. Right now, what we focus on is the severe potential in front of us, which is with this main line moving in from the west. Well, that changes me then. They were just, I got a call from Sonia a few minutes ago saying that, asking for me to go change and then go downtown.
Well,
Yeah.
you see what's over us right now coming through downtown.
Yeah, that's downtown. The rain is actually easing up, but you got another storm right over us right now. That's what Chief was just talking about there. That's moving towards downtown, likely hit a little bit south of downtown at this point. So again, this is our main area of concern, is with this one main complex moving eastbound. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to get caught up with the team out there. I'm going to put this back on the radar. We'll take that full screen and it'll loop through. If we got any other updates, we'll be providing those. It's time right now is 3 o'clock. I'll be on here within the next 30 minutes or so. As a quick reminder, if you can hear thunder outside, you're within range of lightning, so be very careful. Head inside. Let that storm get a good distance away from you as we move through the rest of the afternoon today. But have a great 4th of July. Just be safe. I hate being the bearer of bad news with this activity, but it is what it is. We're trying to keep you updated on the severe weather threat.
But it did cool off. It's like 76 outside.
There we go. We got.
This may be
hey.
a good thing, the timing on it.
Yeah.
For the fireworks anyway.
Gonna feel like a sauna though with that 76 degrees. Yes. Yeah. All right. So we'll see you back here at 3:30, but earlier if we have something else to update you on. But again, the parade has been canceled, unfortunately. But we'll keep you updated as the evening goes along as well. So be safe. Have a happy 4th. I'm going to switch this back over to radar, and we'll be back with you whenever we need, if anything comes up. All righty, we are back on here. We've got still monitoring these severe thunderstorms as they move eastbound. We've got a couple of good signs in the data. We've got a couple of concerning factors there as well. I'm going to go straight into downtown. The first update, which is most pertinent to pretty much anybody who's planning on going down to the parade has been canceled because of that. We've got flash flood advisories and warnings set up through downtown because of the heavy rain that occurred from these storms. These are starting to fade out, which is to be expected. Now we've got another line of strong storms off to the west of us. This is where the severe weather is actually most likely, and this is the most concerning part of this main line that's moving eastbound. I will say, and we talked about this earlier, that activity that developed ahead of that complex could weaken it a little bit, and that's basically what has happened. See, this is not as impressive as it was 30 minutes ago. In fact, let's go and back it back up 30 minutes. And this is what it looked like coming in. So this little bit of activity zapped the atmosphere as this main line moved in from the west. And so what it does is absorbs all that energy. And so as it runs into that cooler air, because of the rain cooled air, you can see it. When you watch the deeper reds and yellows begin to dissipate as it moves eastbound. And so that's good news there. It does not mean the severe weather threat is over. But it does mean that we're seeing some encouraging signs from that main complex. That was what prompted that severe thunderstorm watch earlier. Let me go ahead and zoom this. Let's go around. Let's take a tour of the region. Phelps County, you got heavy rain moving through. Your lightning is off to the east of you now in Rolla, but still impacting eastern portions of Phelps and through Washington, Clinton counties. You're up next on these storms as they continue to press eastbound. Going to Gasconade County, some light to moderate rain at this point. You've dealt with a lot of heavy rain over the past couple of hours at this point from these storms. They're now moving east into southwestern Franklin County over towards St. Clair. You've got some heavy storms just to your south. These have developed in the past 30 minutes or so right along I-44. We'll go up towards O'Fallon. O'Fallon, you've got a heavy storm here right above the radar site. Likely got some lightning with that too. O'Fallon's here. This is just south of you. This is all moving east. So hopefully that means that it'll be clearing conditions. And in fact, it will be once the second line goes through later on. These are all the pulse variety storms out ahead of that. Cahokia Heights, you've got some heavy rain right now. This activity is moving south and east. In downtown, you've got more heavy rain just on your doorstep at this point. O'Fallon, some light rain. O'Fallon on the Illinois side. Illinois right now, for the most part, is void of any serious severe weather or anything like that, or any potential for severe weather at this point. But you do have a lot of lightning out of a few of these storms that will move through. So if you can hear thunder outside, that means you're within range of the potential for lightning strikes. So you want to be very careful with that. And in fact, just be inside, or at least in a vehicle, and not under any trees. If you got people out on the lakes, and you start to get a storm in your area, as soon as you hear thunder, you need to be inside. Or as soon as you see those dark storm clouds moving in, you want to be away from that threat for lightning. So again, Franklin County, you've got some heavier storms just scattered across the county. Washington, some smaller cells here, southern portions of Franklin. And in terms of severe potential, I mean, obviously we have those severe thunderstorm warnings in effect right now, but okay, so they're going to move. So we have some very strong winds still just aloft. I'm just getting an update here from the National Weather Service. And those are reaching the ground in some areas. So do take these severe thunderstorm warnings very seriously. Gasconade County over to Franklin County right now. So when did that update come through? About 10 minutes ago. Yeah. So again, we've still got, even though they may not look as impressive, still got some strong winds with them. Wouldn't be surprised to see wind gusts upwards of 60 or 70 miles per hour with the strongest storms. And again, that's really what's taking place in Washington County. We just lost our camera there. Let me go back over here. It looks like, there goes the camera now. So I think, are we good? I saw the camera just started moving.
Which, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
It's good. Oh, there it goes. Nope. Where are we going?
Well, we're over here then.
Yeah. Who's got the cameras back there?
I don't know. There it goes. You're back.
All right. All right, so Washington and Crawford counties down here, you've got storms on deck moving in from the west. Steelville, you've got some heavy rain, frequent lightning just off to your west. These storms moving I-44. Franklin County, southern Franklin County, you've got the heaviest activity here at this point. St. Louis County, right now downtown, you've got heavy rain, but these are weakening. These storms are weakening. These turned into a very strong storm, a complex of storms in the past hour, rained themselves out. And you can even see the cool air. If you look closely, you can see that little line. That's where that cool rain-cooled air is pushing out from those storms. That might develop a few more storms. They act as little mini cold fronts. But right now, that severe weather threat for St. Louis is it's not really in place. We don't really have a severe weather threat at this point until this main line moves in from the west. But as we've been mentioning, we have seen some encouraging signs with that. Let's get you some times. I'm sure we got folks who are wanting some of that. What are we doing with the cameras back here?
I don't know. I tell you what, Lance, you just go ahead and you talk. I'll put this up there so it's
there we
full
go.
screen.
Yeah, that'll just take it full screen. Apparently we got an issue with one of the cameras going crazy back there. All right. Let's get you some arrival times here. I'll put these to 55 miles per hour. Storms are racing.
They're racing east. About a 65-mile-an-hour wind down at the Vichy-Raleigh Airport. With
You
that,
can see the arrival times here too. I'm going to move this over. So how strong was that wind gust?
it was a 60-knot gust, so about 65 miles
65
per
miles
hour.
per hour. Wow. So that's strong enough to cause damage. Weak trees can have issues with that for sure. And we can also have issues with tree branches coming down that can create power outage issues there too. So not ideal. This is not good time in here, Chief. We had a lot of activities to do today.
I know, and I'm looking back at the power outages now. Camden County and Morgan County down around the lake, they've got, Camden County has 21,000 customers without power right now. Miller County's got 6,100. And even into Osage County and into Marys County, where that leading edge of those stronger storms are, that would be kind of a concern for us. I'm going to turn my mic down just a little bit because it's way over top of what yours is. Okay.
So where Chief is just pointing out, that's some of these counties back here out to our west. So that's not necessarily in our viewing area, but that's where the damage has already been done, where those storms moved through earlier. So that's why we're asking folks to take these storms very seriously as they move through. And let me get you, we'll take a real quick tour here. And
Yeah, those are the storms.
yeah, the storms have passed Raleigh now, but you can see moving into eastern portions of Phelps County. You've already got that heavy rain, frequent lightning here as well. Are we back on me? Yeah,
Yes, you
looks like
are.
We are. Okay. So are we good with the cameras back there? What was going on?
Yeah, it was just a rundown issue.
Oh, they were going through
Yeah, and they did estimate the meteorologist who's Brandon's over at the State Emergency Management Agency in Jeff City. They had about 70-mile-per-hour winds east of town. So, yeah, that's the storms have definitely had wind with them, and that's the biggest thing. The ones at least coming from central Missouri, those are the ones that started back in Kansas. And this has been Lance, this has been the cluster of the problem today because, you know, that was the wild card. Would there be a complex coming at us? Otherwise, it's just random storms. But this is a bit more organized and certainly has the potential to create additional problems.
Yeah, and it's something we'll continue to watch it too. I mean, you know, right now, these don't look all that impressive on radar from a strictly just looking for all the reds and the yellows and the oranges. But the reality is a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and I would not be surprised across this leading edge of wind to see more storms redevelop. What we had earlier over the past hour was we had some development out ahead of the main line. That zapped the atmosphere of some of its energy, but so when the main line moved in, it weakened, but the energy in the atmosphere from a wind perspective is still there. So we're still seeing that potential for redevelopment as it moves eastbound. The time right now is 3:16. Downtown still about 4:15 to 4:35, 4:45 or so for this main line moving in from the east. No real tornado threat with this today. I mean, it's not impossible to get a brief spin up, but I'm not concerned about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say about a 1. I mean, I'm not overly concerned about that at all. You can almost never say never, but it's one of those situations here where the primary risk, honestly, the primary risk is lightning out of this activity. In addition to and I'd go secondary for wind gusts, and then maybe third with the heavy rain.
Yeah, it looks like some of
on the roads.
some of the winds, at least aloft. Now, keep in mind that's aloft, but some of those winds in Gasconade County could be pushing 60, 65 miles per hour right now. So that's a little north of where you've got on the map there, just a little bit north, and it's right just south of the Missouri River where you have some of the strongest wind with that, even though it doesn't look overly impressive. And Lance, you and I both know, these storms get the momentum and then they keep going. And you got a new warning down there that includes parts of Crawford and Washington County. You had the northern part, now they've added the southern part.
Yeah, so they're just extending that eastbound. Still wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour possible with that. Again, that is strong enough to bring down trees. It is strong enough certainly for branches and perhaps some more power issues. And as that main line continues to move eastbound. A lot of energy in the atmosphere here today. Robust wind signature. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And we were seeing this earlier where the main line itself, even when it was west of us, the southern half was the one that had the strongest widespread potential for wind damage. And that's kind of verifying here for us too, where we're seeing the southern half with the most energy in terms of wind damage potential. So that's good news for downtown St. Louis. It's good news for the northern half of Washington County, in terms of. But you still got strong winds. I'm just looking for the highest rate of wind speed as this moves eastbound. I would not be surprised to see if would not be surprised in the next 20 minutes that this gets extended into Jefferson County, St. Louis County, the northern half up towards Troy, Pike County. We'll go Calhoun County. I'm less concerned for you right now in terms of severe potential. It's just this main line moving in from the west.
Yeah, and it looks like there's one going right over the radar site too. Out there in Weldon Spring, Cottleville, that area. Of course, a lot of parades were happening earlier today. And so, but let's see, what is that one for? Well, that's the one we just got. So, I don't know that doesn't look like it's severe. We'll look and see what my winds are at the house because it's over my house. And it does not look like they have gusted very much. So it's very heavy rain out there. And this would include the area, just coming across the Blanchette Bridge into Earth City and also back from Harvester, about ready to move in to at least the northern part of the Chesterfield Valley, maybe just north of Highway 40. So it doesn't look severe, though. It just looks like it's a strong thunderstorm. And again, like you mentioned, Lance, the lightning is also a very big threat with this right now. There are a lot of lightning bolts driving in here this afternoon.
Yeah, a lot of folks are outside, and that's really the main culprit behind us. Even that's why we increased rain chances yesterday so much, was because of the fact that we could see some. Oh, look at this one. Let's go back over to where is that? Okay, that's Chesterfield. Let me pull up Chesterfield here. Chesterfield looks good. See those severe thunderstorm warnings going through Franklin County. Back over here to this guy. Let's see where it is. There we go. I'm going to show you, we're going to look up at that storm over near O'Fallon, just south of O'Fallon. Got a live view on that one. One of our many, many cameras across the region. Pull this guy up here. Let's go there. And then we'll pull that up. So you can see the dark storm clouds here, and of course a lot of lightning with this. Really dark storm clouds, heavy rain as well. I'm going to try to move that camera around just a touch. But again, if you're in downtown right now, just as a reminder, we've mentioned this a few times, but folks pop in and off the stream pretty regularly. We've got the parade has been canceled due to severe weather here this evening, and the expectation for more severe weather here this evening. So again, that's just scanning across that storm that's just north of Chesterfield. Well, actually, it is in Chesterfield, really. Come back up, show you where that is on radar. And then we'll scan around the region here, too. We've got a lot of folks in various areas. If I'm not talking about your area, that's likely because you don't really have any severe weather in your location right now. We'll start off with where the severe weather is ongoing, and that's Washington and Crawford counties, Phelps County, although your threat will end in the next 30 minutes, or at least come down pretty significantly. Gasconade County, Franklin County, you've got the biggest concern right now. They have, looks like they've canceled that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Gasconade County, though you've got more heavy rain just off to your west with some occasional lightning. Franklin County, just south of Washington, you've got a pretty strong storm there too with occasional lightning. Southern half of Franklin County, what I'm showing you right here, this has got the most impressive storms at this point with damaging wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible. That's moving east. St. Clair, it's on your doorstep. Jefferson County, this will move into your area here in the next 45 minutes. We'll head south a little bit now, just following this main line. This is where the biggest concern is for damaging wind gusts, right along this leading edge of activity, and the lightning too. So we'll head back down southeast. We've got general thunderstorms here with heavy rain and occasional lightning towards Perry County, Perryville. That activity is moving east. And then again on the Illinois side, you've got some storms closing in on Mount Vernon. Those are standard pop-up storms here, some brief heavy downpours of about 15 to 20 minutes with some occasional lightning too. St. Clair County, you've got that cooler outflow now moving through. You've got some occasional showers in here, not detecting too much in the way of lightning out of that activity, but you can still see a few lightning strikes out there, so be careful with that. O'Fallon, Illinois, also got a few showers in your area. Northeast of town, Madison County, up to Montgomery County, east of Fayette, Bond areas, you're pretty dry at this point, just hot and humid.
Here comes, Lance, here comes that rain shield into the Chesterfield Valley, that heavy rain pushing in right now. So you can see it on our Skycam at this point as it's coming in. Now, we're not looking at this being a severe storm, but obviously it is going to be one that does have some wind with it. Not terrible, but if you have one of these stronger areas of wind, you still could get a 35 or 45 mile per hour wind gust, which is enough to drop off some branches. So that's the area there, and you're looking at that storm right now. You can tell there's some gusty winds. I'm going to look just to see what Spirit has just done here. And I'll give you that information too because it's ongoing. Lambert doesn't have anything big to talk about. Their last observation
There you
out
go,
of Spirit.
Chief. Look at your camera.
Yeah.
Starting to shake there with the wind.
Yeah, and their last observation was 10 minutes ago, and so that was before. They didn't have any big wind gusts at that point. So I think they'll come up with an update here in a few minutes. So I'll go back to your radar, Lance, that you're looking at there with the number of lightning strikes. Pretty impressive.
Well, I was going to say, I would leave it back on that one right there. 'Cause you got that. I mean, that's looking right into that storm.
Yeah.
With those strong winds. And then what I'm going to do is that same storm is headed towards the airport here too. So I mean, look at that massive rain. Look at how heavy that is. You can just watch it go across the landscape. So your visibility rapidly decreases as the heaviest downpours move in. And we were looking at downtown earlier from the arch cam, could not see the arch, just a wall of rain with some heavy rain. There was a little bit of flooding that was actually reported in a few locations there too.
Yeah, and those storms, that's a look at those storms. They've now pushed over into the Metro East and southeast of St. Louis. So those storms, they're not severe, but they are, and this one's not severe, but it's still producing some gusty winds. and certainly producing torrential rain and that dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning that we have continued to talk about here throughout much of the last hour or so. We've seen a lot of that around the metro area.
And check it out here. I'm going to leave it on there for one more second. Let's go to the airport. You can see they've got those storms here moving in too. That should pop up. There you go.
Yeah.
So you can see that the airport's going to be busy here. I'm sure not too many folks are flying out at this hour, but we could see some delays there. More than likely will. Look at the traffic on the roadways as well. A lot of folks are trying to get to where they're trying to be for this evening's fireworks shows or just some other evening plans. And they've got a lot to go through in order to get there with some of the heavier downpours in a few locations. So
yeah, especially you're looking at eastbound 70 there, really slowing, approaching 170. So that's probably because the rain just east of there is incredibly heavy. And so as a consequence, you've got slow traffic. Somebody might have, bumped somebody else too. You never know. 31 mile per hour wind gust was the peak at Lambert. We still have not heard anything from Spirit since 5:15 or 3:15, so waiting to get something from them. And just looking at the power outages, again, we're not seeing, this may be good that some of these storms that were scattered, Lance, out ahead of this, you see the sky's already brightening a little bit back in the distance there. These scattered storms that weren't part of this complex coming at us from the west actually may kind of force that complex to drop more to the south, which is where we do have more of our severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. So this is a big storm coming into the metro area right now, just east of Weldon Spring, now sliding in and across the river into St. Louis County, but it doesn't seem to have severe weather with it right now. And you see that heavy rain does stretch up across Interstate 70 to the north. So metro area, be prepared. There'll be some 40 mile per hour wind gusts somewhere with this storm. Gasconade County's number of folks out of power is up to 754 out of about 11,000 that are tracked. Franklin County went up to 287.
yeah, and we got a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. Does include downtown.
It does include downtown?
Yep. So they were looking at exactly what we were watching there that we were seeing on radar and then seeing from some of our camera network across the area. They're going to go ahead and warn on that one. Wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour possible with that storm moving through Maryland Heights right now.
So Maryland Heights, Creve Coeur, kind of where you see that little nudging out there.
Yeah. And then what they're concerned about there, a little bit of a downburst effect with those storms. Looks like that could potentially lead to some damage in a few locations there. Just kind of pull that up a little bit. Yeah, it's an interesting look on radar. A little bit of a downburst signature there. That's tough to see from the velocity standpoint because we've got, it's right over the radar site pretty much.
Yeah.
Maryland Heights, you are getting it right now. Some heavy, heavy rain, 270. Don't want to be out on the roadways for the next few hours as these storms move through. Let me go ahead and time these. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's such a messy look on radar.
Yeah, it's hard because they're literally bubbling up and then they fade out to some degree.
Yeah. I'm going to draw this in a way that's not necessarily accurate for everybody, but it is for most everybody. So you can see, have you got the radar pulled up right now? Which one's up on VMix?
Wait a second. Yes,
Yeah,
radar's
okay, cool.
up.
So you can see some of the arrival times here. Arnold 353, Chesterfield right now coming up. It's really right on your doorstep. So current time is 3:30, and that was actually looking, that's the arrival time. So that's my point. There's a couple of these are a little bit off because I'm looking at the main line to the west. You've got a different storm to your north moving in, but this main line that has the highest potential for severe weather is moving east. There's your new severe thunderstorm warning. That does include downtown. 1,243 lightning strikes being picked up, which is, again, that's my biggest concern are the folks who are outside just trying to enjoy their 4th of July. So we've got to be inside anytime you hear thunder outside because you're within that range that you want to be in a safer space. Yeah, 60 miles per hour. Not seeing any hail signature with this, but it's really the downburst concern that they're most worried about. Again, that does include downtown St. Louis. Got
Yeah.
some wires down over in Boone County.
Yeah, this basically includes the 270 loop up to the river. So Chain of Rocks Bridge back to the airport, out into the valley, and then down 270 through Sunset Hills and all the way over to the JB Bridge. And here's kind of a look at where that storm is. We're looking northwest from downtown. So that's the storm that's causing the problems that will be sliding in here over the course of the next 15 to 20 minutes, giving us the issues in the immediate metro area, in addition to the ones we had earlier that came through.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at some of the velocities on the wind out to our west and still seeing some strong winds just above the surface with that main line that's moving in from the west. So let's move back over here where those severe thunderstorms warnings are in effect. Some of this wind will reach down to the surface. That's why they have those severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We've already seen that take place west of our region over towards Jeff City, where they've got some damage reports coming in for scattered trees down in the worst impacted areas. Just a few outside of that. So wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible as we look at this main line moving through Washington and Franklin counties, moving up towards southeastern Washington, Crawford counties rather, moving up towards Franklin County right now. St. Clair, you've got a ton of lightning with that cell just around your area along I-44, moving east to Jefferson County as well. Washington, you've kind of been spared from the worst of this, where you got the heavier showers and storms off to your southeast right now. I don't even think you've had much rain there in Washington. I always keep a close watch over there. But St. Louis County, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning, again for wind gusts to 60. I think this is pretty localized. So if you're Creve Coeur up to Maryland Heights, you've got the highest potential for these damaging wind gusts. Okay, they're just updating the watch. Over towards, we'll go as far east as University City for the next 15 minutes. But, I mean, I guess this could make it all the way down to downtown St. Louis, but I kind of...
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm showing you, that's what I got on the
Oh, okay.
on
yeah.
the screen
great.
now, so you can look at the camera and the radar.
Yeah.
And I'll get on here.
Are you going to jump on the...
And if anybody has questions.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some on there. With only one screen work over here, I kind of held off on that.
Yeah.
earlier. All right, let's back up a little bit. You can see, I'm going to put this in motion for everybody who's watching, and we appreciate you being here. We're just trying to keep you updated. This isn't anything to be overly alarmed about. Well, we just want you to be aware of what is likely going to impact your 4th of July plans, especially if those included outdoor plans. Gasconade County, the most serious weather is off to your east now. You got a few lightning strikes north of Herman. If you look over towards Franklin County, you've got the worst of it at this moment. Look at the lightning strike counter there at 538. A lot of that has to do with that main line to the south, but some of that's coming from those storms moving into the metro area in the next 15 minutes. And actually, the total count is over 1,000. So it's still looping. And that likely main increase from that was probably due to those storms that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning, which does include downtown. Head over to Perryville. You've got some storms in your area too, with some frequent lightning as well. Farmington, you got a couple of showers by you, but all of this activity will continue to move eastbound. Let's time this out for our southern half of our area. I'll come back north here in just about 4 minutes. Let me time this out for everybody who's watching from the south. You get some arrival times.
I'm going to pull that full so everybody can see that.
Yeah, make that a little bit easier to, there you go. Okay. So you can see Potosi, 4 o'clock, so you're looking at about 24 minutes or so, again, from that main line moving eastbound. It's got the strongest winds and most frequent lightning with it. And again, the activity will stay in your area, most locations, for about 15 to 20 minutes in terms of the heaviest with the most frequent lightning and the strongest winds. And then that does come down, but I'd still give it a good 30 minutes to get away from you before you venture back outside. Just allow that lightning threat to get down to a bare minimum, as these storms have been very electrical today. I would not be surprised to find out about some houses being struck here earlier, especially with the amount of lightning that we've seen out of these storms so far. Now let's get you, and this is, I mean, I could put you some tracks for downtown, but honestly, let me get you one for this main severe thunderstorm to your northwest. So I'm ignoring the line that we've been talking about for the last hour, and get you that right there. So Creve Coeur now is when it's moving in again with some strong winds. Granite City closer to 4 o'clock. St. Louis closer to 4 o'clock here as well. East St. Louis 4 o'clock there. So you can see some of those arrival times again with that one thunderstorm that's got damaging wind gusts potential. It's what we call a downburst. There you go. You can kind of see it. And Chief, the outside the forecast this week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about MVCs.
Oh, there you go.
It's
yeah.
very ironic.
Well, very appropriate.
Yeah. So I'll get to use the data from today to talk about some of that.
So Chesterfield did gust, it looks like, close to 30 miles per hour when the storm came through there. Lambert peak wind has been 31. So those aren't severe numbers, but that's significant. Cahokia did have a 53 mile per hour wind gust just across the river, about 320. So right across the river. That's not severe, but that's a really strong storm that came through at that point. It looks like from this vantage point that some of these storms are trending towards weakening. And I gotta, you look at it and you wonder, and Lance, I'm gonna wander over here for a second. We're looking at, the storm from earlier. This is the one that went over Cahokia, produced a 53 mile per hour wind gust. And it's put down this outflow boundary, plus the one that's up here in Weldon Spring, that now has an outflow boundary. So you kind of got this mini cold front, if you will. This air down over Jefferson County has not been disrupted. So it's still hot and humid. This is the big complex that's been coming in from the west, so it's feeding on that. The question is going to be, when we get this intersection, particularly here over Jefferson County, is that going to be something that helps those storms become stronger, or is it going to be something that causes the storms to die out and diminish considerably? That's the unknowns that we have whenever we're dealing with intense thunderstorms. And these are intense, a lot of them are. There's another one just to the northwest of Perryville right now. No warning on it. Has a lot of lightning though, and producing those torrential rains. So we have severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of St. Louis County into the city of St. Louis. Then we also have here in Franklin County and then down into Crawford and Western Washington counties. That's your severe thunderstorm warning. So these storms do tend to have a little more wind with them as best we can tell. And so you should be prepared for winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour with those storms as they're certainly sliding in. Again, this one up here in the metro is definitely capable of a lot of lightning and torrential rain. You see that right now as it's passing here around 270 and 70. We saw the traffic by the airport a few minutes ago. We know there's events going on. Florissant always has a big 4th of July. We always have big events in North County, University City, down into the Clayton area, Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights really taking it right now with the heavy rainfall and a lot of cloud to ground lightning. And then we go down to the southwest and we're getting in here to down into far western portions of St. Louis County, out to the west of Six Flags right now. That's a pretty impressive storm. That looks like a wind signature there that's just east of St. Clair, perhaps. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're getting some 40 to 50 mile per hour winds with that. And then, of course, it's all sliding on down and moving into Jefferson County. This, so far, what's in Jefferson County, looks like it's just below severe limits, but you still want to be inside. Now, this is not going to ruin your entire evening. That's the good news. Once this blows through, it settles the atmosphere down. And so I think as we get into the, fireworks time this evening, we're going to be fine. Now the parade, the Celebrate St. Louis 250th anniversary parade has been canceled because of these storms rolling in. It was supposed to step off in about 20 minutes, and for safety concerns, the parade organizers, emergency managers, working closely with the meteorologists have determined that this is not a good option for us at this point to have a bunch of people along Market Street for the parade and all this lightning coming into town. So they went ahead and just canceled the parade. Now, as far as the rest of the events for tonight, honestly, I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that. I would think once this blows through, the concerts should be okay. The drone show should be okay. The fireworks should be okay. Once we get this in and out, then things settle down. And it'll be humid, but it will be cooler. One thing we see is the temperatures under these, when you get under that heavy rain, you really see the temperatures drop off back into the 70s. So that's a big, big difference as we get into, that time frame there. So when you're looking at these storms here, just on the bigger perspective, kind of broadening it way out, this is the cluster that came in from Kansas, literally from Kansas, and has marched its way across Missouri. Whenever we're dealing with these types of storms, we never really know if a cluster of storms is going to be able to hold together. Does it create its own weather? Because that often does happen, and in this case, that's what has happened. Otherwise, we would have been looking at random pop-up storms this afternoon, like we've seen the last couple of afternoons. Instead, this thing's been able to keep going and generate big storms, those that have produced some really intense winds in mid-Missouri. Now, as it's coming farther to the east, it looks like those stronger winds seem to be easing out and becoming more localized. So not as many power outages are being reported as we come farther to the east. But you see all the lightning in there, a tremendous amount of lightning as this continues to slide on towards the east right now through St. Louis and through the entire metro area. So we'll keep watching these storms for you, tracking them through the metro area. We know it messes things up just a little bit for sure with your plans outside, maybe your barbecue this afternoon, this evening. We'll just be flexible here. I don't think it lasts in any one spot really more than an hour, 90 minutes. So for that time frame, inside, and wait for the storms to go through. Hopefully your power doesn't go out. If any of these storms do become severe, of course, we will be letting you know about that. But right now in the metro, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. It doesn't look like we've had a lot of really intense winds, although I do see one wind report here. And that was in St. Charles. That was some power lines down reported just east of Weldon Spring. So up in St. Charles County, so that would be in the Harvester area. But again, as I'm looking at this, and Lance, you correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm kind of looking on a different computer at this. The storms in St. Louis proper are certainly producing some stronger winds, but it looks like they're more about 40 to maybe 50 miles per hour. And I'd really hone in on that area around the airport right now as having some stronger winds, and also in the area of Olivet and Creve Coeur and University City. Maybe some stronger winds in those areas as well as all of these storms continue to move through. Let's get you a look at what that storm looks like here from the northwest of downtown. That's the one that's prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. At the moment, you see the sky has become considerably darker to the north and west of St. Louis as these storms are rolling in. We also still have some thunderstorms off to the east and southeast of St. Louis. You can see that from that camera right there. So we are tracking these storms through the metro St. Louis area at this moment. At the airport right now, you see the heavy rain falling at this point, and that will continue for a few more minutes. It almost looks like the rain's moving sideways there. So let's look at the observation out of Lambert. And let me get you back over there. Okay, Lambert, heavy rain, and the wind is sustained at about 20.7 miles per hour, but not reporting a wind gust on the last observation. I take that back. This observation just popped in, 41.4 miles per hour.
Oh, look at that.
So,
I mean, that is
yeah,
torrential downpours right there.
torrential
with some strong winds.
wind-whipped rain coming into the metro St. Louis area right now. So, you know, the timing on this, again, when you're looking at it, the timing on this is such that most of the metro, it's coming into the city right now. It's definitely along 170. So these are the areas that are, you know, our greatest concern right now. You're looking live at the airport there with the radar, and when we zoom in, this is your severe storm. Overland, University City, coming into Wellston, going to be in Pine Lawn in a few minutes, into Jennings. Ferguson, big downpours up into the Florissant area, although the heaviest is really just along and south of 270 right now as it continues to push off towards the east. So from that standpoint, you're going to get a good drenching here. There's really no question that you're going to get that big drenching here as this pushes in. Florissant down to Calverton, Ferguson, you know, there's the airport. Airport, 40 mile per hour plus winds. There's going to be some localized winds in here that's a little more than that. We also know we have a lot of trees in this area, and tree branches, even with a 45 or 50 mile an hour wind gust, which isn't necessarily severe, are still sufficient to cause some problems for us. So let's see.
And Chief, I was going to say too that I got some of those wind reports west of us, and there's some good news in that. One, not so great news for our counties to the west of our region. Wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour, including just southeast of downtown Jefferson City, and then another one 75 miles per hour at Raleigh National Airport. But the further east that you go into our viewing area, Gasconade County, Phelps County, well, eastern portions of Phelps County, Washington, Crawford, these wind gusts are about 45 to 50. So the difference between the two of those is that you get pretty widespread tree damage when you get wind gusts over 70. That's hurricane force winds, 74 miles per hour. And so you get widespread tree damage with a few isolated trees coming down and those types of wind gusts. But whenever you get into wind gusts where you're talking 45 to 50 miles per hour, not as damaging.
Not as damaging.
Yep.
Now, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's for this surge that we were looking at back here into Franklin County that's into Gray Summit right now, heading down towards Lone-Dell. That is coming into Jefferson County. So now Jefferson County has a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not necessarily for this leading edge. It's more for this area back here just to the west that's just approaching the Jefferson County line. That's where the stronger winds are right now. And so those are the areas that have prompted the warning here that takes us into Jefferson County. Not to say that that leading edge, as it's approaching 21 here, doesn't have some strong winds with it. But certainly this is about to collide with that outflow from the north and east. Here's the outflow coming in. It's made its way through Arnold. You cooled off a little bit in Arnold because of that. But now the outflow is going to run into this leading edge here. Plus, this is the surge back here that's coming in from Pacific south towards Catawissa. Those are the areas that are getting some of the not only torrential rain, but also strong winds at this time. Again, in the metro area, we've had a couple of reports of some power lines down out in St. Charles County. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had a few more here with the amount of lightning we're seeing at the airport. The drenching rain is starting to really slide in from 170 and 70 down, and then 70 going westbound past the airport. It is still pouring in those areas right now with the torrential rain sliding in and across the region. So you definitely need to be inside, away from windows and doors as this activity continues to move in. Take you back out to the airport there, and you can see it's not as dramatic as it was, although it doesn't look like traffic's doing a lot of moving there. In fact, it looks like our camera may have lost power because I don't see any cars moving anywhere. So I would bet that the camera there has actually lost power.
Which camera was that?
That's at the airport.
Oh, okay.
So there might be some power outages out there because of that. So let me flip back over and get you a different view of that storm as it's coming in. Here's 100 above the park as the storm's coming in. And actually, that's looking towards the east. This is what I want right here. And that's looking northwest from downtown. So we're about to get it into downtown. It's almost into Forest Park right now. This is going to drench us. This is why the parade has been canceled, because you know, you don't want people along the parade route.
We got a couple of texts here today. Got somebody asking if this is anything like the May 16th day, and not even close.
No.
There's no real tornado threat with this. It's not impossible. We can never really say that whenever we have severe weather. But in terms of damaging tornadoes or anything like that, no. There's no shot on that.
Yeah, this is all about wind, heavy rain, and lightning. And maybe you get some hail that's smaller in there, but I don't think we're looking at any really huge amounts of hail. So Jefferson County in Missouri, southeastern portions of Franklin County, into the city of St. Louis and much of St. Louis County, especially around the 270 loop and in, that's where we're looking at the potential of these severe thunderstorms rolling in at this point. You really get a good look at that as you see that camera right there looking to the northwest. Once you get behind that leading edge of clouds, that is a wind-whipped wall of water producing wind gusts upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. That has prompted that severe thunderstorm warning, because we do believe there are some stronger wind gusts in there at some point and in some area. Now, as far as power outages go, Franklin County is up to about 4,700. Washington County is up to about 1,000. Crawford County is up to 1,400. Phelps County is 2,900. Gasconade, 1,400. We have about 3,400 customers in St. Louis County without power, only 191 in St. Charles County. In the city, about 2,100 without power. Some of this is storm related. Some of it was on the map before these storms rolled into the St. Louis area. So, Lance, I'm going to put a timeline on it. I don't think they're moving quite 50 miles per hour.
No, it seems like they have slowed down.
Yeah.
Earlier today, we were looking at 52 miles per hour, and it does seem like those have come down a little bit. I will say a lot of folks are asking about fireworks here tonight, and all expectation at this point is that fireworks will be in good shape. Now, granted, that really depends on each area in terms of what the officials can do, because that goes out of our expertise in terms of getting the fireworks into the air, how long they have to prepare with any dry time before the fireworks start, that kind of stuff. I will say from a weather perspective, I think we're going to be clear for fireworks here tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. The heaviest of this will be in Spanish Lake here at 3:56, so 2 or 3 minutes from now. Shrewsbury, 3:58. I mean, in St. Louis, just after 4 o'clock is when the brunt of this storm starts pulling on in. East St. Louis just after 4. And then over towards Collinsville at about 4:13. Now, we may be a few minutes fast, but I'd rather have you inside and being safe than outside and stuck and being on the fence there. Now, let's go south with the storm down in Jefferson County. So we're starting to see all kinds of collisions here on with the boundaries, which always can create some interesting phenomena. So just kind of looking at this, and we're going to push this off to the east. This is when the leading edge of the heavier rain gets in. Although you are already seeing some of that now, just north of downtown Waterloo. You had one in Columbia. But this main area that has more wind with it and more organization with it, that gets into Columbia at about 4:20, 4:19, 4:20, something like that. So you're down into the Fenton area here in the next few minutes with this. Again, there are pockets in here where we have some gusty winds of maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that's why the warning is in effect. Bottom line is you want to stay inside, away from windows and doors as these storms are rolling through the area. So let's go back to the view just area-wide. Farther to the north, we don't have big concerns at this point. Couple of storms up there. We'll watch what we see coming across Montgomery County. It's not severe, but it is strong. This area to the north of us has not had a whole lot of action, so that means it should be relatively still hot and steamy. So that may be able to take a little bit of advantage of that, and we'll have to watch that storm as it comes into Lincoln County and then goes over into Calhoun County. But the warnings pretty much stick from St. Louis City, St. Louis County, Jefferson County, Franklin County, into Washington County. And then it becomes more isolated pop-up storms in the hot air outside of the more organized area that we were dealing with. And that more organized area is now coming into St. Louis. You see the amount of lightning there. We're, 1,700 lightning strikes in pretty much most of our viewing area right now. Just to look at the winds, just to give you a brief look at those, we are seeing some brighter colors here around St. Louis County, which would indicate the stronger winds.
I'm on air.
Here's one right just, looks like it's pretty much just south of Frontenac towards Kirkwood. Got some gusty winds that are in there. Notice how they just trimmed up the warning and took it out of the airport, but they're leaving that section there because we still have a core of stronger winds there showing up pretty well. That's going to try to push in towards the city. So right now it's still west of 270. So, really that's more like Manchester and Baldwin right now and sliding eastbound, but that will be into Webster Groves, Kirkwood, perhaps Sunset Hills in the next 5 minutes or so. That's probably going to cause some scattered power outages. Your temperatures also get knocked down considerably when these storms roll through. You get under that heavy rain. It's a drenching heavy rain. Temperatures drop. Winds get gusty. But we will have to deal with the humidity going forward. And again, you could see, just watching this, the cluster of storms up to the north, outflow boundary kind of sliding through with that, outflow boundary from the ones that were over St. Louis earlier, pressing south, and now they're kind of meeting here over southwestern portions of St. Louis County and into Jefferson County. Outside of that, these are very much spotty storms right now.
Got a couple of viewers tuning in, one from Farmington, another viewer from Granite City asking if we could just give a quick update on both those locations there for timing-wise.
Farmington, yeah, we could do that. Let me show you what it looks like here. Here's a different shot. Look at that. That's your leading edge of your clouds going across the river from the storm that on the other side looks like that, and that's your wall of water that's coming in here.
Heavy rain.
Heavy rain coming in here. All right, I'm going to give you, we're going to back this out a little bit. You're not going to see me for a second, so I can work on the computer. You're looking down in Farmington. I would say within the next 10 or 15 minutes, you definitely have the potential of a thunderstorm in the area. You can see they're developing around Bonne Terre. They're just bubbling up. Park Hills, down towards Farmington, they'll be in the area. Now, this main area back to the west, to me, it looks like that's weakening, and it's probably going to continue to weaken, but it's instigating all of this new activity that you see up ahead of it. So, for the next hour and a half, St. Francis County into St. Genevieve County, you're going to see all of these storms continue to bubble up, and you'll have to wait for this main area that's back to the west to actually get through. And that's going to take just a little bit longer, but that main area to the west also weakening just a little bit. Some of the stronger storms developing now are off to our southeast, down south of Carbondale now, and trying to get down towards Paducah at this hour. So again, what's around St. Louis continues to produce torrential rain. Potentially there could be some stronger winds here right along Manchester Road coming in towards Kirkwood as these storms kind of bubble up even more, moving on to the east. It's hard to put a track on them because as soon as we do, there's other storms that develop out ahead of the main line. But I'll go ahead and try to give you this little area in here. This is going to be a strange thing, but I'm trying to hit the biggest populated areas here. East St. Louis just after 3, 407 I should say, just after 4, Melville 417, O'Fallon, Illinois about 4:30, Lebanon, Illinois about 4:36, Freeburg, Smithton between 4:30, 4:40. But you've already got a shower thunderstorm in the area right now. Okay, that's the main line that's back here to the west. Will that line still be here? Will this even be here in the next few minutes? You can see how this is all a work in progress as these storms continue to evolve, develop, and then weaken and die. So this is, I would think that the storms that are moving into St. Louis right now, you would think what we're seeing right now with the storms in St. Louis, as they push east here into the metro east where we had some storms earlier, that air's been cooled off. So you would think they would diminish some. You would think. But Lance, as we always know, we think a lot, and Mother Nature has other thoughts.
Yep. So tonight, I'm going to look at a couple of forecast models here. We might roll up a quick view for this evening's forecast.
Okay.
That way, because a lot of people are asking about fireworks.
And we really do think, honestly, once this goes through, the odds that we're still dealing with this at 7 o'clock this evening, I think are exceedingly low, maybe even say slim. This is going to come through in the next hour. Of course, this would have been when the parade was happening. So, nobody likes to cancel a parade. Everybody loves a parade. We don't want to cancel it, but you can't be sitting out in this kind of weather at a parade. And so that part of it has been canceled. Now, they do have more people coming on stage. They're scheduled for entertainment tonight under the Arch Grounds. Stage is set up. And as long as we don't have winds that mess up the stage, and we probably won't have them that strong, I think this is going to be through here. And the entertainment that's scheduled, Logan, who was on? I know Miranda Lambert is late. She's the big headliner.
Yeah.
I can't think of the...
Well,
Kenny Loggins, I think. Was it Kenny Loggins, maybe? Does that sound right? I think Kenny Loggins might be on like at 7 o'clock. And then there's some other bands before that. Those other bands before that, they may have to hold up here until we can get this out of here. Once this gets out of here, what's back to the west is this dying area of showers. And so I think that's going to, since the atmosphere has been worked over, because we've already had it, now you don't have the instability as we head into the evening. And of course, we're also after 4 o'clock, our peak heating, we're there now, which is helping to drive these thunderstorms across the area. So the peak heating's gone, sun's starting to go down this evening. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape in most spots for our fireworks presentations. Assuming that the fireworks don't get wet, which I would think that they've probably got a plan for that to keep them nice and dry. But look at the heavy rain here. Wildwood going in through Ellisville right now, out along Highway 109, drenching rain. You get in a little bit closer into town here. There's 141 going up Baldwin into Manchester. I mean, we are really talking about some torrential rain coming into Valley Park too. Right around West County Center, DePere. You're getting it now to get in towards Webster. Obviously, Webster Groves, they had their parade earlier today, but they have all the festivities going on right now, or supposedly, so they're probably taking a bit of a break at the moment for that while these storms roll on through. Again, the most intense part of this is over the city and back here towards DePere. That's where we were finding some of the more intense winds, but we have to watch this area too. It does look like it's intensified some, at least in terms of rainfall and the rainfall rates that we're seeing there. And then when we add the lightning in there, you can see, whoops, I didn't want that, I wanted lightning. We had the lightning in there, and you can see there is that uptick in lightning in and around the Wildwood area right now. And even outside of this area, you still have lightning strikes that are occurring not too far from Cottleville. So until this whole thing blows through, you're going to want to be inside. You can get back to the pool after this goes through. Give it about 30 minutes to make sure that all the lightning's gone. We're not getting a lot of reports of severe weather at all, are we, Lance, with this?
No, we've got a couple of reports west of us with tree damage. I've got somebody asking here again about Farmington, just northwest of Farmington, and also wanted to be multiple times. Wanted to make sure you're aware that you are the best weather guy that this person has ever seen.
Well,
So there you go.
well, that was very kind. And there, we're looking right here at Farmington, going up to Park Hills. This is your mineral area down here southwest of St. Louis, to the south and southwest of St. Louis, and Irondale. You see how the storms are just bubbling up. So this is what you're going to deal with before the main area comes in. And the main area out to the west there has weakened a little bit. You haven't seen the warnings here. We haven't seen warnings come up in Washington County lately. Now, as we go down here into Iron County, you're just north of Tom Sauk there. That's a pretty good, just north of Johnson Shut-ins. It may hit Elephant Rocks. That's a pretty impressive cell, but it doesn't look severe at this moment. It just looks pretty intense. And I think that's what we're getting into outside of the organized thunderstorms. You're just bubbling everything out ahead of that because of the instability and the fact that these storms to the west have put down some boundaries, kind of acting like a mini cold front, pushing some cooler air out into this really warm, muggy air, and boom, you know, it doesn't take much lift to get through and create a thunderstorm when it's as hot and humid as it has been. And we know how hot and humid it has been this week. This is just a more organized bundle of energy and focus for storms than what we've seen all week long. And really only in the last couple of days have we had that opportunity to kick off showers and thunderstorms. Metro area right now, again, really from the Chesterfield Valley all the way down through Valley Park, moving in towards Sunset Hills right now, going down into northern portions of Jefferson County, approaching the Arnold area, really getting in on some of that really intense rain and potentially some gusty winds in here as this is all sliding off towards the east. So I'm going to check in with our power outages here while you look at that radar, and I'll give you a shot of what it looks like now. That's from Energizer Park, looking back to the northwest. Kind of what we saw at the airport a few minutes ago with that torrential rain sliding in across the area. That is what we are dealing with now as this is coming in through the St. Louis area. Now, Montgomery County just bumped in with some extra power outages there, about 2,200.
We got new reports of tree damage in Jefferson County.
Okay, Jefferson County, Missouri. All right. Tree and wire damage being dispatched right now to the Baldwin and Manchester area. 60-mile-per-hour gusts in Chesterfield. So again, these storms, particularly this area right in here, is the one where it just kind of has blown up in the last few minutes. So 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. That's 141 right there. So taking you from Manchester and then kind of arcing down here towards Arnold, you're going to see some of those really intense winds as this continues to push on to the east. Let's take a look at what that looks like here. You see these brighter colors right here where we're getting into more of that brighter red showing up here. Couple little areas of it there. Those are areas where the winds are more concentrated and heavier. So I'm going to get you, now keep in mind, that's some of that's coming into Sunset Hills and just south of Sunset Hills, that's Highway 30. So as you're going down towards Tesson Ferry, you're going to get this. Here's this along 44 here, that's out by the soccer park. You're looking at some probably 55, 60 mile per hour winds there. So these are going to gust out, likely move into parts of Kirkwood, parts of Webster Groves perhaps as well. But it looks like this would be more on the southern side of the metro area in terms of your wind potential here. So if you're in Fenton, and we just updated, if you're in Sunset Hills and heading towards Melville, notice our brighter colors just shifted a little bit. So we just got the update on the radar. If you're in Melville, Oakville, Lee May, those areas, most likely to see 55 to 65 mile per hour winds, which means more power outages. Now, when we go up and look at the northern part of the storm, while we do have some stronger winds in North City here, north of Interstate 70, and some stronger winds showing up over downtown, it's not as bright of a color, which indicates it's not as strong as what we're seeing here approaching the Melville area. So again, Melville along 55, That's just rolling right along 270 towards 55 right now.
Hey, I got a
That's
story
kind of
here
the-
for you
Yes.
from the viewer's son and his friend were on jet skis at the Lake of the Ozarks when a straight line wind hit. They had to navigate back to the shore, couldn't see. The dock was being ripped away, it sounds like. They made it back okay and safely. Trees fell on some cars in the condo lot, and there's some down power lines blocking the entrance. So that just shows the magnitude of these storms, how strong they are, and how quickly they can come up on you, too. So we want to be inside, and we appreciate Bob for sending that in, and we're thankful, of course, that his son and his friend are safe back on shore now.
Yeah, that it is. I mean,
is a
they
scary
really.
situation.
It's always scary when those and a lot of these storms really have blown up quickly. What we've seen here in West St. Louis County, coming in through Baldwin, Valley Park into Fenton. This just literally, within the last 30 minutes or so. I think it's because of the outflow and what was coming at us from the west. I think we had some convergence there, and boom. You just needed a little bit to take advantage of all the heat and humidity. But this is a drenching rain here. I would not want to be on 44 trying to drive right now, or even on Manchester Road. And I'm sure at the very least, we have some localized drainage problems here through this region out into West County as you go from Des Peres west. Now, and down into, along 141 really, down into the Arnold area. I'm pretty confident that this area, we do have some drainage issues in spots. And you know where those poor drainage issues are if they're in your neighborhood. You know where that is. And this is what we're dealing with. This is pushing in. High impact day because it's the 4th of July. And I know everybody is really kind of focused on, am I going to get my fireworks in tonight? Are we going to be able to resume our activities? Or for those of you that haven't seen any storms yet, are they actually going to make it to my house? Well, here's the thing. North and northeast of St. Louis, there's still some question. We have to watch what's going on out in Montgomery County. I think that's going to be the driver here, north and northeast, for anything that might be a little more organized. Definitely this area is going to hold together across southern portions of Illinois, at least to some extent. And I mean, we are talking about heavy rainfall rates in here. The rainfall rates are atrocious. So you're going to get ponding on the roads, and especially here down to the south of St. Louis, Farmington Park Hills up to Bonne Terre. You see how it's filling in, your showers and storms, kind of filling in there to make more of a line. That's something we have to watch. The thunderstorms across St. Genevieve County, they're becoming a little more numerous right now as they grow. Same sort of scenario down into Perry County, Iron, and northern portions of Reynolds County right now as this whole area. It's a messy, messy storm mode because we have a lot of boundaries here that we're dealing with from previous thunderstorms that bubbled up out ahead of the main cluster, and this is the main cluster. I really think once this gets through St. Louis, if we can endure the next 45 minutes, although let's hope it doesn't rain as hard as it's raining now in some spots for much longer than 10 or 15 minutes because it really is coming down here. We'll get this in and out and be over and done with it. Interesting here, and here's the radar site. That's where the National Weather Service office is. You see the thunderstorm, how it's kind of back building into that area right now. And so that means that's going to push up again as it looks like it's moving more northeast. That could very well push up into the Cottleville area and up into Main Street, St. Charles again. So again, there's a lot going on in the atmosphere today that in hindsight, when we go back and study it, and we try to do that so that we can learn from it, learn from every scenario. Lance, it's just, there's a lot going on this radar screen, and fortunately, it's not any worse than it is. I mean, it's bad enough, but it's not any worse than it is right now.
No, and just to reassure folks too, it's heavy rain, a lot of lightning, but the overall severe threat is, it's not as extreme as what it can be concerning some too. Did they just come out with a new severe thunderstorm warning?
Yes, they just put that one out.
That makes sense.
That was the
there's
storm.
still a lot of energy out there.
Yeah, we were just talking about this storm coming up over the Weather Service office. And so that's now, and I told you, Cottleville, it's headed towards Cottleville. It may get as far west as Lake St. Louis, Darden Prairie. But that's going to go up towards St. Peter's. impacting parts of O'Fallon too. I'm not sure exactly where O'Fallon's big celebration is, Lance. You were out there, but it's going to be close to that. So, that's when they shut the rides. Everybody's going to pause for a little bit. And then afterwards, you can get back out of it once this goes through. But this does include portions of northwestern St. Louis County, includes around the airport and to the west, and it includes St. Charles and goes up towards the Newtown area. So right along the Missouri River, and you could see the amount of lightning in there, just in that little area that has just blown up here. We'll get in really tight. So that's telling me 453, and that number will change in a few minutes. But just in this area, in the last 15 minutes, 459 now, 459 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. That's a noisy booger of a storm. All of this continuing to press towards the north. That one's going towards the northeast. The rest of them are tending to move more towards the east. The one over the city of St. Louis has weakened below severe limits. We also had that flash flood warning here that includes 70 out to the airport. This batch of rain now that has shifted more towards the northeast, that means it's going to pick up again, and you're going to get maybe another inch of rain here in North St. Louis County as this moves towards you, unless the previous storm is able to have cooled the air enough where this one doesn't have enough spunk to quite get that far. And that remains to be seen. Storms crossing over the Mississippi River here in the northern portions of Monroe County in Illinois. So I want to look down here, back into Columbia again, and then heading down towards Valmeyer. Torrential rains, a lot of lightning. That's also taking you right along 55. I cannot imagine that 55 doesn't have some water problems right now and some ponding on the roads that in that area. You're getting some of that heavier rain that's bubbled up towards Red Bud right now. And so, yeah, that's this is down to the south right now. It looks like this is more of a heavy rain scenario with maybe some 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, and maybe just off to the northwest of Farmington there, just to the west of Park Hills, or maybe southwest of Park Hills there, right? Let's look at that Derby area going down Highway 32. This area that just came out of Ironton, that may have, or Irondale, that may have a little bit of hail with it.
Report of Chesterfield, I-64, Clarkson, just talking about the strong winds, a lot of lightning there. We've talked about that. That's that new severe thunderstorm warning just came out from a viewer in that area. So,
okay, well, let's...
yeah, I was going to...
Well... It doesn't want to give me any control there, but there it is. Do you have any control over it, or
no? Here, jump out of that one and let me grab it. Is that Max 1?
That's Max 2.
Max 2. Jump out of that real quick. I'll take a look at it here on this. Oh, I just lost control on everything.
Oh, that's why. Okay, so we're where we are right now for a second until the computer reboots itself.
Another report here. Baldwin talking about tree branches coming down. With heavy rain and strong winds.
So that's right here. Look at all that lightning. Where the lightning is the most intense is part of what we're dealing with right now. So it's going to take a couple of minutes here for our systems to reset. So give us a few minutes while we, I would change the view, but I can't.
Yeah, and you know what? This main complex is moving north through Chesterfield, crossing 64, heading northbound towards Maryland Heights, St. Peter's areas. You've got a little bit of a small section of a downburst that's ongoing right now, just east of that the radar site there. So crossing I-64 is a little bit of a signature of a downburst. Downburst winds are where that storm is really hammering down, where that storm's kind of collapsing a little bit. It's possible it's collapsing. And so it's a lot of strong winds. You can see wind gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. That can bring down some of those tree branches coming down in a couple locations.
All right, so while we're waiting for our weather computers to come back to the world, Lance, here's some updates on power outages. In St. Louis County, we're pushing 8,000, over 7,900. Still about 2,200 in the city. St. Charles County had 199. We're going to see if that's going to change here in the next few minutes. Jefferson County's up to 4,201. Now, not all of this may be from wind-related problems. It could also be from lightning. Usually if it's a lightning-induced scenario, then in those cases, in a lightning scenario, those are usually fixed a little faster. Franklin County's up to 7,000. Crawford County's 21. Washington County is at 1,000. So far in St. Francis County, I know you folks in Farmington have been talking with us here. 2 in St. Francis County right now. We'll see how that number goes in the next few minutes. So we'll get back and give you another update on that in just a couple of seconds. So let's see, Lance, were we able
Yeah,
to
we're getting live now. I'm jumping in real fast just to grab, I want to grab a view.
All right,
of
so
the-
this is that view from downtown, and looking back at the storm now that's coming out of Chesterfield, moving towards the northeast. Remember, the other one
gonna
was
take
moving
us
to
into
the east
Chesterfield
southeast.
here.
So now we're going to get out into the Chesterfield Valley, and
There you go,
that's
that's
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield.
And
Yep.
so now look at that rain, and I see people with their flashers on. I don't see that there's a huge amount of wind there at the moment. From
I can
that
show
view.
you some wind. Here you come. This is going to be Kirkwood.
Okay, Kirkwood, we got some wind in Kirkwood.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. That's a Kirkwood Farmers Market. So Chesterfield, just a few minutes ago, was gusting, actually Lambert was gusting to 45, and Chesterfield gusted to 53. So we just had a 53 mile an hour wind in Chesterfield, and you can see Kirkwood right now. I'm sure that's 30 to 40 mile per hour winds.
This is going to be Forest Park. I'm going to show this camera here in Forest Park. It's not storming there right now, but you can see it shaking with the wind. It's going to pop in a second here.
There it is.
Yeah, you can see the wind shaking there.
Yeah, and you also clearly see the rain shaft as you look. That's looking actually down to the south of St. Louis for the storm that's over South County, and we go around to the west. Lance is turning it for us, and you see how stormy it is. This is the area that's kind of coming in right now.
Oh, look at that shelf. Look at the shelf cloud right there.
Yeah.
So that shows those strong winds from the upper parts of that storm reaching down. That's why you have that indention right there for viewers. You can see that little, we call it a shelf cloud. It looks ominous. You call these SLC, scary looking clouds.
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, just looking at the radar pictures here, the worst part of this with the strongest winds right now looks like it's become this area here out in the Chesterfield Valley and into St. Charles County, and that's now surging north. And that continues to develop westward. I mean, it's not out of the question here that that does make it out to Lake St. Louis as we head through time.
A lot of lightning moving into downtown too with these heavy downpours as well. Obviously don't want to be out on the road. Nobody should be outside with this amount of lightning moving through. So we want folks to be extra safe and extra cautious.
Okay, can I get out? Can I get back
Yeah,
in
have
the
at it.
max
Little
one?
Yeah, you got it.
And we'll go back over
I'm gonna do
here.
this real quickly. Give me 1 second here, Chief. Give me
Okay.
take a picture of that. All right. Max 1 is yours.
All right, we'll get him back over here, I think. There he
You can
comes.
see on the left-hand side of your screen, that's the shelf cloud with those strong winds moving in. Really, that's going to move in through downtown. The strong winds do they have wind gusts upwards of 35 to 40 miles per hour possible with that?
Yeah. So we'll watch this. This down here has strengthened somewhat from Columbia down approaching and coming into Waterloo. So you've probably got some 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts at least with that. But here's the biggest one. The cell that looks most impressive is really, you just saw the rain out here in the Chesterfield Valley and through the Gumbo Flats, and now sliding in through Weldon Spring, moving into Harvester, trying to get into Cottleville and Darden Prairie as well, but it's developing some back to the west at this moment. And so that is a pretty intense storm. I want to look at what the wind looks like on that. And again, we're really close to the radar site, so maybe we don't get the best sampling of that since it's right on top of the radar, but there are certainly gusty winds here to the south and east of 94. So if you're on the Missouri River side of 94 versus being out towards Cottleville, it looks like that's where the strongest winds are right now. Now I'm going to go back up here for just a split second, and I'm going to see if we have access today to the terminal Doppler, and we do not. So we don't have access to the terminal Doppler. That would have given me a little different perspective from near the
Chief,
airport.
I want to pull that one camera full screen real fast. I mean, check
Okay.
that out. Look at the wind, how much it's whipping around that camera, and it's still outside of that storm.
Yeah, there's a lot of wind. There's a lot of gusty winds with these storms. So the severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Jefferson County is going to expire here in a few minutes. Actually, in Jefferson County, the worst of it looks like it's pretty much moved out of your area here. The Celebrate St. Louis folks, because we know a lot of you are wondering about what's going on with Celebrate St. Louis. The parade today was canceled. So at 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock, we'll be bringing you weather coverage and some news, mostly weather coverage,
Okay.
yes. Depending on, because this is going off at 5 o'clock. And then we'll hit NBC Nightly News, I believe, at 6 o'clock. So power outage updates. Not a whole lot of new information here. Since we joined you a few minutes ago, the numbers really haven't changed, which is a good thing. But we certainly are watching that area as it's going through Weldon Spring right now. Let me just see what my...
What you're looking at right now on the left side of your screen is going to be Chesterfield.
Yeah, can't see much there, can you? Nope. So traditionally, my peak wind gust on the weather station just in the last few minutes under that big storm is about 13 or 14 miles per hour. Now, I'm really close to the ground, so that's a low measurement.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more like 35 to 40 at least, if not stronger. So that's what we're looking at. We have had scattered power outages. Troy's now reporting a 30 mile per hour gust. Looks like we have a new flash flood warning, southwestern St. Louis County and the city of St. Louis until 7:30. Now, keep in mind, the flash flood warning will include a good chunk of where this rain area has been and anticipation of where it is going. And so when we look at that new flash flood warning here, city of St. Louis kind of butts up against, actually, did they let the other one expire? It looks like they might. No, I think we've got two. So now most of the St. Louis metro area is under that flash flood warning. It still looks like we have two. So this is for the southern storm that has prompted that new flash flood warning, which includes the city and it includes St. Louis County. So as we continue to go through the rest of the afternoon here, this is our biggest storm at the moment on the radar anywhere, and it's right here in the metro. So it's along 270 and then going west. So 141, you go out here towards St. Luke's, all along 64 from 270 west, drenching rain, and that's lifting to the northeast. So this is different than the earlier thunderstorms, which were moving more to the east, if not east-southeast. This area is moving to the northeast. It's moving over areas that have already seen heavy rainfall in northern St. Louis County. We've had 50 to 60 mile per hour winds with this storm through West St. Louis County. Power outages increasing to some degree in this area as well. And then we go down to the south. That's the strongest storm. That does go up into St. Charles County too. And it's almost into downtown St. Charles. Give it another couple of minutes. This is where the family arena is here. And so that's moving northeast. So it's going to go right up 94. It's going to get into St. Peter's, going to get into St. Charles, but especially this area between the Missouri River and Highway 94. That's where you're going to see more substantial rainfall, and in addition, a tremendous amount of lightning in here. Just in this little area, this is a pretty small area, we got 62 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. When I actually broaden that out, this is actually down some from what we were looking at earlier when we had 500 some odd lightning strikes, and now we're talking about 172 lightning strikes here. So the reality of this is gusty winds moving across 64, moving towards Olive right now in Clarkson, moving up towards Page Avenue. All right, this is going to roll right on up into North St. Louis County and produce some more heavy rainfall. We can hope that it weakens a little bit. You can see the O'Fallon Freedom Fest here. There's a cell that's kind of popped up on its own out here in the O'Fallon area. So that's probably put a halt to what's going on there to some degree at the moment. I want to go back on the big side here and just take one look at the broad perspective. And you can see, and I should probably turn the lightning off, there's about 1,600 lightning strikes there, a lot of them. But this is your cluster, the main cluster. You got this in Troy, raining in Troy. They had a 30-mile-an-hour wind. You go up to the northwest there, it's a little stronger, but that's already putting out an outflow boundary. So that's probably going to weaken a bit. This coming south, going down 55 through St. Genevieve County, down into Farmington, down into Iron and Reynolds counties. This is where our main focus for the potential of additional severe thunderstorms would seem to be logical. Okay, I say it would seem to be logical. We don't think we're going to get that up here to the north of St. Louis, but then we also didn't expect this storm to backbuild back over an area that had just seen heavy thunder over into St. Charles County, and it sure did. So again, you're looking at this disturbance coming onto the east, part of that convective complex and convectively induced disturbance from thunderstorms that started late last night and into early this morning, back into parts of Kansas. And so that's kind of where we are at the moment. I want to just kind of get you a scenario here. The severe thunderstorm watch, well, it didn't cover that very well. I'm going to add in the regional radars because a lot of what happens here, I'm going to turn this off. We're just going to put this into motion. And actually, let's take it back a bit here. We're going to go back 12 hours. So you can see how this has evolved. So there was a complex to our north. Here's some business out here into Kansas and Nebraska. And see how that stayed together, held its own, came through Kansas City all day long. That's been trudging onto the east. 70 to 75 mile per hour winds with it. Now, initially, that area was enough to cause a lot of wind damage, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings to our west. As this moved on to the east, it essentially and effectively created its own little disturbance that rolled onto the east. And what does that do? That interacts with the heat and humidity that had built up into place across the St. Louis area. And when it did that, we saw the thunderstorms really start to bubble up, and we've seen the potential of some of these storms being on the severe side. So this is the last few hours here. I'll get you right into the current. The only good news that we have is it looks like there might be a downward trend. They've trimmed up this warning here in St. Charles County and St. Louis County to mainly be north of 64 now. It still includes Interstate 70. Storm's still strong, but you have a similarly strong storm down here into Monroe County and then one down towards New Athens. And just in the last hour, when you kind of watch this and you say, well, Scott, why aren't you showing me a track? Well, I don't know where to track. I mean, in all honesty, everything's kind of morphing into its own thing. This area down here is morphed into a cluster. It looks like we might be able to put a track on that one here in a few minutes. This developed into something totally random, as what was to the north of it completely died, but may have helped fuel that by putting down an outflow boundary. And then what's back out towards Herman right now is just some light rain, and that's not a huge problem. So if I'm going to track on this, And I think, what are they moving, about 40 or 45 miles an hour, Lance?
They varied for each one, but it's for the most part about 45 to 50. Now, real quickly here,
Yeah.
we're getting some damaged pictures. I'm going to pop this text line up here. If you have any
Okay.
damage outside and it is safe for you to take pictures of anything, again, emphasis there on safe. That means no lightning, no wind gusts that are ongoing. Let the storm get far away from you. Send in those pictures here with the location. I'm going to show some here in a moment. I appreciate, we got one that came in with some, looks like a large tree down blocking a street. So
Okay.
again, we've got more damage reports from across the region, but you see that text line there, 314-425-5355. If you have any damage in your area, send over that picture to us and we'll get that on air and pass that information along to the folks at the National Weather Service who are issuing these warnings.
All right, and again, to bring you up to speed here, I just put a little track on the storm that's in western St. Louis County into St. Charles County, and you see how it's moving to the north, but it also looks like it is showing signs of some weakening right now, which is great. Now I'm going to go try to get you a track down here on the system, the one that's to the south, and so let me zoom in first on that, move myself down here. And it almost looks like this one's starting to turn to the southeast, but again, there's some, I'll do the strongest part of this storm and do it as kind of an east-southeast mode, which would take it into Randolph County, which you already have northern Randolph County. Red Bud, you've been storming for the last 30 minutes or so in Red Bud. This is for what's coming at you with this big cluster here, which is going to drop another inch or so of rain. You're getting some drenching rain in the farm fields right now across Monroe County in Illinois, and then down through St. Francis, St. Genevieve County. Most of the substantial rain is on its way out of Arnold. But you see the timing on that, St. Genevieve 446, it's almost there really right now. So that's the reality that we're dealing with. And they keep bubbling up and falling apart, and new development takes hold after that. So this is where we are as we go through at the moment. Steve, what are you thinking for us? We'll talk to Director Steve here because we're going to do a newscast in 20 minutes.
We have a new drive it from here.
Okay.
And if Lance needs to be on, he can do max 2 at the Chrome.
Okay. All right.
Or do both your mics up the whole time.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So I'll be on max 1, Lance, and you'll go to max 2.
You got it.
And
I'm going to try to get some of these pictures in. We
Yeah.
got more pictures coming in from Washington. Multiple large trees down there. It looks like there's a swath of trees that went down in the Farmington area.
yeah, I'm looking 53
Yeah.
mile per hour wind is the max at Spirit in Chesterfield. And looking at St. Louis, 40, we did gust to 48 there. I think Cahokia. If you guys have pictures and it's safe to do so, you can text us 314-425-5355. Cahokia earlier had about a 53 mile per hour wind gust. I don't know that the Farmington airport has had anything. Well, Farmington gusted to 52 just a little while ago. About 10 minutes ago, Farmington gusting to 52 miles per hour. So we're definitely looking at that. And we're looking at the flash flooding as well. Oh yeah, I see your pictures here from the emergency management folks down there. All right, so power outages, yes, we have them. And they seem to be growing a bit. So let's get you some new numbers. We're almost to 10,000 in St. Louis County. Jefferson County's at 7,000. Franklin County's at 7,000. Warren County, only about 300. St. Charles County's holding steady there. St. Francis County, we're up to about 1,000. about 1,200 there in Washington County, Crawford County, a couple thousand. Reynolds County, 693, which represents about 16% there. About 7% in Iron County with 414. Phelps County has quite a few. Really hardest hit seems power-wise, seems to be the area around the Lake of the Ozarks. Morgan County, Miller County, and Camden County. A lot of places down at Lake of the Ozarks without power. City of St. Louis still at about 2,200. So the city has been spared some with the power outages so far. I'm going to check Ameren's actual map here because it'll give me a better idea of where some of these are. Of course, it's very much scattered. The larger numbers, though, do seem to be out in the area of West St. Louis County. You got 3,700 customers in the vicinity of Baldwin, the Baldwin area. So that's a pretty large cluster there. That's probably the biggest cluster that's organized. And then we have a bunch here in the Overland area where we told you earlier there was going to be some significant problems there, potentially. So now I got to do severe thunderstorm warning. Monroe on the Metro East here. So let's look at this one. It's coming in now. That cluster we were just talking about a few minutes ago that I put that track on, down here, southeastern portions of Monroe County, and then southern portions of St. Clair County, and down into Randolph County. So this cluster here is showing signs of having some intense wind with it, in addition to the heavy rainfall. And of course, it's moving into an area that really hasn't been worked over that much by your previous activity. So when you go in here and take a closer inspection of this, really the cluster of storms we're most concerned about is the one that's from Prairie to Rocher to west of New Athens. And you see this area here, that's where we're getting those brighter colors showing us 65 or so mile per hour winds. So that's why that is an area that's under a warning right now. 5:45 is the time frame on that for that severe thunderstorm warning. And it does include a small portion of southwestern Washington County as well. So extreme southern portions of St. Clair County, the southeast portions of Monroe County, and then down into Randolph County and the far southwestern portions of Washington counties in Illinois. That's a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45. Winds about 60 miles per hour is what we would anticipate with that as the storm continues to move off to the east. So just putting a track on that. And Lance, we think that's moving about 40 to 45 miles per hour. You know, I'm going to give you the leading edge of the stormy weather, but keep in mind the winds may be just behind the leading edge. Your stronger winds may be just behind that leading edge. But Marissa, 450, Coulterville, 502, Swanwick, 507, into Pinckneyville at 518. So it will continue eastbound over into Perry County in Illinois.
You check Troy, Illinois, if you got a second there, Chief.
All right, Troy, Illinois looks okay at the moment.
Yeah,
nothing going on there. We got Troy, Missouri with some thunder right now.
Yeah, somebody was just asking about it.
No, I think you see the storm. Okay, so I think we could probably kill this warning here in St. Charles County and St. Louis County. That storm's falling apart, really losing a lot of its intensity at this point. So that has fallen apart. So I don't think we have to worry too much about that.
New warning coming out now, Chief, in Illinois, saying that it looks like it's accelerating. It's going to go through St. Clair and Washington counties.
Yeah, we got it.
Oh, you already got it?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
My bad. There's a lot going on back
I know
here.
there is a lot.
Yep.
Yep, they just popped that one, and they're also watching these storms down here in Perry County, St. Genevieve County. We did have some reports of some damage around Farmington. 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. That was observed at the airport there. You've had a lot of heavy rainfall. Let's see if we can pop on, if I see the rainfall here. So let me just pop on this 12-hour QPF. All right, so see the darker greens up here, Spanish Lake back to Bridgeton, and then in the Chesterfield Valley to Creve Coeur down to Des Peres. These are the areas that have had some really heavy rainfall, and even into downtown St. Louis and into the Metro East. And so the poor drainage areas in those spots at this point are definitely for sure seeing problems. Now, the good news is you can watch, see how much red there was, and now we're starting to see that go down. So in the metro area, our threats of severe weather continue to decline. Now, we got to drain that water, so we had a lot of water come down very fast, and so that's going to be a problem. Now, this storm down here, which looks like it's taken more of a southeastward turn, has some pretty intense winds coming in around Redbud and then stretching back just to the west and northwest of Evansville. So it's coming out of Monroe County into extreme southern portions of St. Clair County and into Randolph County. So you're going to need to be prepared here for some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as this rolls on to the southeast as well. You're also seeing some of those stronger winds going down towards the New Chester Bridge and down here into St. Genevieve County. So St. Genevieve, probably looking at 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts with this cluster of thunderstorms that's moving in. You see some of this is starting to grow and get a little more intense. We can tell that because you get additional red and darker reds in there. And when that happens, that definitely tells us that we are looking at the storms becoming more intense across this area. So those are the storms really to the south and southeast of St. Louis that have more of our attention than anything else. This is your broad view, okay, area wide. We do have some outflow boundaries that are drifting to the north, so we can't rule out that, you know, there won't be some more isolated storms up here to the north. But you see what's going here across Lincoln County. You had some 30-mile-an-hour winds in Troy. You've had some downpours. That's pushing up. The outflow's actually gone up towards Eolia through Cyrene in that area. And then we go down 55. This is where the potential for the stronger storms will continue over about the next hour, maybe hour and a half. Now, there is a bit of a wild card as we go farther east of St. Louis, because while we've seen some activity develop over here farther east of St. Louis, we haven't seen a whole lot in the last hour or two. So the atmosphere very well may have recovered out towards Greenville and down towards Carlisle Lake. So not saying cancel anything there right now, but do stay alert for the next couple of hours. And again, even though the parade was canceled in St. Louis, supposed to step off at 4 o'clock, good decision not to do that at 4 o'clock today because we would have had all kinds of problems. But this activity should be weakening. And as it weakens, our thoughts are that we're going to see this kind of die out, and then the lingering rain that's back here to our west, which is mostly light rain, seems to be lifting to the northeast. This is where our disturbance is, if you will. That's where our little thunderstorm in complex induced disturbances that tended to set all of these more intense storms off. As that moves through, the atmosphere has been settled. And so we don't expect a lot of redevelopment, if any, once this gets through. We should be at a pretty good spot for our fireworks displays this evening around the St. Louis metro area.
And Chief, I did just confirm with the desk that we've reached out and that everything, as far as we know, is still on.
Everything else is yes.
Yes. In terms of the fireworks displays, a lot of folks are asking about that. And from what we know from officials scattered across the region, everything is still on fireworks-wise. And we should have some great weather for that too, including it not being a sauna.
Yeah,
well, it might be humid.
It might be humid, but it's not going to be 90 degrees still at 10 o'clock.
That part's
And
the silver lining.
Yeah, that's the silver lining for all of this. Now, granted, it does mess up a lot of our plans this afternoon. It messed up yours, Lance. It messed up mine. But you know what? We're here, and we're going to be okay, and we're all going to get through this evening. We're going to be able to celebrate our 250th anniversary of this great country. St. Louis County now has 14,000 customers without power. St. Charles still holding steady, 198. Actually made an improvement. there. Lincoln County doesn't have many. Franklin still has some. Washington still has some. And we're talking about 1,200. St. Francis County, Washington County, Missouri, and Iron County with a few hundred. Reynolds County with a few hundred. Lake of the Ozarks, the hardest hit areas where they are around 40 to 50% of the county's population there without power. But St. Louis County is about 3% without power. And I probably should go check on the Illinois side now, and now these storms have rolled off to the east. Monroe County, we have about 3,600 customers without power, about 2,000 in St. Clair County, and 1,800 in Madison County right now. So those are big counties at the moment that do not have power around the St. Louis area in our region. Again, you're looking at the radar, you're looking over Forest Park here, back to the west. The sky is starting to brighten a bit. We are still seeing rain in the metro area. If you have any questions, have any pictures, we'd love to see, hear. Question, will there be rain in Troy, Illinois soon? Probably not in the next hour, but maybe in about an hour. But I don't think it's going to be much by the time it gets over into Troy, Illinois. Madison County on the Illinois side is not having the fortunes that Madison County, Missouri is having right now, where we are seeing some of those stronger thunderstorms rolling through at this point. And I just replaced mine.
Oh, you did?
And
Okay.
Will you
I
leave them
just
here, though?
replaced mine.
Leave them here, because
Yep.
I will before we get into the show.
Yeah. Hey, we doing one full hour on this, Chief?
That's what I'm told.
Okay.
And they do have some, there will be some breaks in there, and there will be
Okay.
some news, I believe, but we don't really know for sure.
Okay.
So much of St. Louis County now under a flash flood warning. The storms are weakening considerably. That is the good news. But you got to drain off all that water. And so there's a lot of water to drain off, and it came fast and furious. So that's kind of what we're looking at this point. I'm going to check in with our folks over.
And while you're working on that, let me pull that full screen again. I'm going to show the text line again. If you, we're getting a lot of videos and a lot of pictures in, and they are very helpful for us. If you have damage in your area or just video of some of the strong storms that moved through, we'd love to show them on air. So you see that text line there, send that over to us, and we're putting together a show here for you at 5 o'clock that we're going to have some more updates live on. In fact, we're going to jump off of here as we get closer to that, and we're now 6 minutes away. So this is, we just got a really good video from Redbud, Illinois.
Oh, I bet there's some wind in Redbud too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and yeah, again, you're looking there at on one side, looking towards Forest Park. I'll give you the full screen here, looking back to the southwest of St. Louis at that rain coming down in the metro right now.
All technical stations standing by for local news. We are in a live event. Please be on standby for your local news. Once we get close, we will make you aware we are about to roll out and give you your on-air time. We anticipate getting out on time, but this is a live event.
All right, so you may have just heard our friends at the Hub advising us that we are in live event on TV, and so we don't know if it's going to end on time. In the meantime, let's get you back to the radar. Let's talk about the one storm that still has a severe thunderstorm warning on it, and that's the storm that's off to the southeast of St. Louis. Again, this is the broad picture, just the scene setter here. The area that we're watching right here, northern portions of Lincoln County, that's tending to fall apart. Metro area still dealing with some flash flooding here because of the heavier rain from earlier today. And then our severe thunderstorms, anything that's going to be strong to severe at this point, I think it's going to be down to the southeast of St. Louis and in this general vicinity here. So the one warning, far southwestern portions of Washington County, far southern portions of St. Clair County, and down into far southeastern Monroe County. The worst of it's about to move out of Monroe County. But Randolph County, you still got to deal with it. And then across St. Genevieve County, Madison, Iron, Reynolds counties here, down to the south. These are where we're looking at sporadic wind gusts, okay, from time to time. So you're looking at some of these winds gusting in here, maybe 50 miles per hour or so. That's enough to cause some tree branches to come down, to cause some problems. But there are generally sub-severe storms, but they are strong, and they do have quite a bit of lightning with them. Not as much lightning as we were seeing on this regional perspective, perhaps. We're down a bit from where we were. We peaked out, although it does tend to jump back up from time to time based on the storms that, whether they're strengthening or weakening. And here's a look at the one storm that is producing what we believe to be some severe wind around Redbud. Prairie du Rocher's been in on that. You've seen the gusty, stormy winds there. And then this pressing on Sparta, 5-8 minutes. And you should start to see some raindrops. The winds will start to pick up. The strongest winds with this, though, have actually been just behind the actual start of the rain. So you look here, right on the Monroe, St. Clair, Randolph County line, just east of Redbud. That's where we're showing some of the strongest winds. Down towards Evansville here, you're along the Kaskaskia River. You're picking up some of the strongest winds in this area. And they're probably around, or maybe even a little bit above 60 miles per hour. That's enough to cause some tree branches to come down, some power lines to come down. And we do know in Monroe County in particular, we do have a large power outages.
If you see us wrapping up, once we roll, we will give you your on time. It looks like everybody should be on time, but we will confirm once we roll. Please be on standby.
All righty. So you heard what the man said. We are on standby to begin our program. So for those of you streaming, I'm not sure if that's going to stay streaming or what's going to happen, but I am going to zoom in here to the immediate metro, put this into motion. Uh-oh. Did we lose?
I don't have any IFB, so that's what you're asking me.
No, I wasn't messing with IFB. I just was trying to figure out if we have connectivity, because it wasn't wanting to let me.
Oh, well, no, I didn't do anything.
No, I mean, you know, or if, yeah, I do hear you.
You should have it. You should be good.
Yeah, you would think, but.
Yeah, no, that's true too. 8 and 6 minute weather segments?
Well, that's what he's saying.
Okay.
Well, we're just going to chit
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Got it. Thank you.
Why is it not letting me?
Are you still not getting anything?
That's why.
It's gonna flip you. You're on my show right now too, by the way.
Yeah, I am in your show.
Okay.
I'm just playing in it
Okay.
because I don't.
Yeah, you're good. I'm gonna try to get something set up over here real fast.
Oh, great.
We begin at 5 with severe weather that's hitting the Vice scene this 4th of July. In just the past couple of hours, Celebrate St. Louis making the call to cancel the big America's Birthday Parade. Let's
It's
get right over to Meteorologist
reloading.
Lance Blocker and Scott Connell with another guest.
Yeah, we are both in the Weather Impact Weather Center. We continue our weather impact alert right now. And you can see the storm that we're looking at. Lance, I'm going to ask you a quick question. We've been streaming here for quite a while this afternoon. And so which show were you actually working out of? Do you know? Because